Is anybody out there? Not yet. Give it a few seconds. Select top chat. Hello folks, if you're new or if you're just arriving, select top chat from the live chat so that you don't miss any messages. YouTube sometimes filters things out. Cheers folks, cup of coffee. Oh, still too hot. Hot. Take the lid off. It's the last of my coffee. I've run out and I can't get to the shop. Okay folks, who's out there? You're going to say hello in chat while we wait for others to arrive. Come and say hello in live chat, not top chat. Let's just get that clear. Nobody's talking. You've gone shy. Now last week I had the camera set like this and I looked okay on screen, and when I watched it back afterwards my head was so big it not just filled the screen, it was off the bottom of the screen. How is it looking for you? Am I kind of more or less centered? You know, with a normal sized head on the screen? That was ludicrous last week. When I watched it back I was a little bit embarrassed by it. Coffee's way too hot folks. Okay, let's begin. As you probably know, this is TrampCast. Episode 54 of TrampCast, this Sunday, February the 2nd, 2025. The channel, Delta Mike, down and out in Torrevieja. Delta Mike, that's me. Or at least a character I play on the internet. Jack Attacks here, all good mate. Cheers, thank you for letting me know. Some people are too shy to talk. Delta Mike, as I said, that's me. Or at least it's a character I play on the internet. It is me, it's just a false name. It's my initials. When you do the old Alpha Bravo, Charlie Delta Echo Foxtrot Golf Hotel, Delta Mike. Down and out. Down and out. Someone who's homeless. A tramp. A hobo. A vagrant. An indigent person. A person of no fixed abode. In America, they would say a bum. Someone who sleeps rough. On the street, or in my case, in a field. So Delta Mike, down and out in Torrevieja. Torrevieja is a city on the southeast coast of Spain, on the Costa God, I got it wrong. Costa Blanca south. Jesus, I got that wrong. Hello, Burnley. Live the dream. Oh, well, you know, it's not a choice for me, but I don't know whether it's a dream or not. Has its good points, has its bad. Thomas Eriksson, hello my friend. Sweden, right? I think it's Sweden. How's life in Sweden? How's the weather? I'm assuming not warm. Okay, this is TrampCast, where we look at the successes, the failures, and the other happenings in my week and generally in my life as a homeless guy living in a field. The successes, the failures, and the other happenings. Okay, folks. If anybody is new here and wants like the backstory, I will add a link afterwards to the description, linking to TrampCast 001, my first live stream, where I detailed the entire backstory, who I am, what my work history was, my education. Why I moved to Spain from the UK, how I ended up homeless, all those questions that you've got. So anybody new here who wants to know those, that can be found in TrampCast 001. Okay folks, if you haven't already, thumbs up's always appreciated. Hit the like button for me. If you're new here and you think that you might want to see more, watch this show first, but then consider subscribing. Always like new subscribers. There's a donate link there for PayPal donations. Hint, hint. I am a little low on cash, but got enough to get by a little bit. But, thanks to a donation last week, actually, which we'll come to very, very shortly. Also, folks, down in the bottom left corner is the word live, and it should have a red dot. I don't get it, but you'll have that. You want to check that the shall I stop gibbering? You want to check that the word live has the red dot next to it, which signifies that you're up to date where we are. If you've joined late, sometimes Tina girl, Tina, sometimes Tina, kids shouting outside. Tina girl. Okay, let's give Tina some attention. She obviously wants it. Here you go, girl. Hey, Tina, say hello to the peoples. Stop trying to eat children. Okay, there's my girl. Okay, babe, you're okay. Okay, where was I? Where was I? Donations. Oh, checking that you're live. Sometimes if you join late, YouTube won't put you actually at the current live spot. Sometimes it will start you at the beginning, and you follow along half an hour or an hour behind, and you'll be making comments that will be baffling us because we've moved on. So check that you got the red dot. That's all I was saying there. And of course, join us in chat and comment along like the folks that are here already. Jack Attack and Thomas Eriksson. Chilly, humid and somewhat slippery in Sweden. Yeah, I guess if it starts to thaw and then refreezes, you get that, can't you? But yeah, it's Sweden. What do you expect? It's cold up there. Like my mate Ismo in Finland, where he tells me all about how it's minus 30 and minus 40. I don't know how you can get out of bed in the morning. I was cold last night here. I was like, I actually, for once, I actually felt cold for a while, and it was plus 10, which normally I find quite warm. I mean, I am still in basically jeans and t-shirt, shorts and t-shirt. I mean, they're a good thick pair of shorts, but they're, but I haven't put a pair of long pants on yet this winter. Okay, folks, shall we begin? Shall we begin? As I said, episode 54 of TrampCast, and we begin as we often do with a numbers round. Episode 54, so some facts about the number 54. And actually not very many facts. There's not a lot out there for the number 54. 54 AD, Emperor Claudius dies, or Clavdivs, if you ever watched the BBC TV series with Derek Jacobi and people from back in the, I think it was the 70s. So Emperor Claudius, or Clavdivs, dies and is succeeded by Nero, one of the cruelest and most unpredictable of the emperors. 54 BC, Julius Caesar had his second expedition to try and conquer Britain. Well, actually, no, it was never the intention to conquer. It was an expedition to come and investigate and try and get some tribute from some of the tribes. He wasn't actually trying to do a full-scale landing and takeover at that point. At 54, Studio 54, the New York disco and social elite, the home of the social elite during the, I think, 70s. Also led to a film of the same name, a hangout for people like Andy Warhol and lots of other people who were famous at that time. Okay, international direct dialing codes. There usually is one, and this week's no exception. Whatever your access code for international calls is, followed by the digits 54, the number 54, will get you Argentina. Finally, from the periodic table, atomic number 54 is xenon, or xenon, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it. A dense, colourless, odourless, noble gas. They found out later it actually does react in some circumstances, but it's few and far between. So it is still classed as a noble gas. It's difficult to make react. Found in trace amounts in the Earth's atmosphere. 1 part per, was it 10 billion? 1 part, yeah, 0.1 parts per billion, so 1 part per 10 billion in the atmosphere. Main uses, xenon arc lamps, which are, or used to, I don't know if this is still true, but form parts of cinema projectors, really bright light, almost daylight in brightness. Xenon flash tubes, similar to neon lights, but whereas neon lights are red, emit a red light, xenon lights are a blue-violet kind of light. Xenon is also used as a propellant for ion thrusters on spacecraft. I presume that's on the long journey ones rather than the... it's not. I don't think that's for just manoeuvring satellites. It's for the longer journeys. There you go, folks. Those are the facts for the number 54, because this is episode 54 of TrampCast. Next up is the thank yous for this week. And as I alluded to some moments ago, I had a fantastic donation last Sunday, actually during the TrampCast. I didn't realise, I mean, my phone, I forgot to silence it again today. My phone made a noise a couple of times through the broadcast last week, and then after I finished, I took the dog for a walk and did what I needed, made coffee, did what I needed to do, and I forgot to look at what the noise had been on the phone. But it was Elisha or Elisha, not quite sure on the pronunciation again. And she sent an amount above the threshold that we would say, that ain't cheap. So thank you to Elisha or Elisha. Sorry, I'm not good at pronunciation. I can't even speak. I've got no teeth. These sh words are difficult. Elisha. Also, thank you to my friend Karen, who facilitated me in moving some of my PayPal funny money over to the prepaid card that she got me once upon a time, the prepaid debit card, so I can actually walk in a shop and make small purchases. I've got no actual cash at the minute, so without that card and without her help in transferring some of the PayPal funny money, I would be lost. So thank you, Karen, and see you soon. Also, my mate Tom came around on Friday, and as well as good company and a bottle of beer that we shared, he brought a few bits of food that I think he'd rented his apartment out at some point, or some people had been in his apartment, and he brought me some of the things that they'd left lying around. Some tomato frito and some flour and rice, and I think there's a bit of pasta in there, and chocolate spread, all sorts of bits and pieces that were to hand. So thank you for that, Tom, and for the company, my friend. And this morning, Colleen, my friend Colleen, who comes around and she looks after Tina. She brought Tina some bags of dry dog food with some meat broken up in there, and some treats and some other bags of food. There's probably somewhere between 4 days and a week's worth of food, all in all, in the various bags and things that she brought. So thank you, Colleen. I think, folks, that's it for the thank yous this week. Apologies if I have missed anybody. Sometimes people bring me things and my notes aren't perfect, but I try to make notes as we go through the week most of the time, and those are the notes that I have. So, for episode 54 of TrampCast, those are the thank yous for this week. The week ending Sunday, February the 2nd, 2025. Themes for the week. Let's move on to that next. The overarching themes for the week. Well, I named the episode Power Struggle. And it's not me fighting with someone, it's not that kind of power struggle. It's our old friend, the EcoFlow, and the solar panel, and the weather, and the combination thereof. And the weather forecasts, and how they tend to make me think that we're going to have multiple days with no sun. We had that again this week. Fortunately, I played it cautious, and I kept everything as topped up as I could as we went, and until this morning had no issues. I'll spill the beans now, because I think a lot of you won't stick around right till the end till we get to Sunday morning in the week's events. But basically, at about 3 or 4 in the morning this morning, I realised I'd still got 80% on the EcoFlow. I looked at the weather forecast and it was going to be a good day weather-wise, allegedly. And I thought, oh, I've got power to spare. And I was feeling a little cool, a little cold. So I thought I'll put the electric blanket on. I'll plug the electric blanket into the EcoFlow for quarter of an hour. I was going to grab a little bit of food and sit there and just have quarter of an hour. And what happened was I fell asleep and woke up 2 hours later with the EcoFlow, rather than being on 80%, being on 8%. Which, when I was then awake the rest of the night and, you know, using my phone, watching things, my phone was down to like 20 or 25% or something. So I had that plugged in on the end of a long cable from the EcoFlow, trying to just, when it's plugged in, it just about holds its power. It doesn't really gain if I'm using it, if the screen's on and the internet's doing things and what have you. So there I was at, I say 5 in the morning when I woke up, absolutely wringing wet through, boiling with this red hot electric blanket. But with the EcoFlow really low on power, with my phone almost out of power, and I've got maybe 5.5 hours until the solar panel starts picking up a noticeable amount of power. So yeah, my own stupidity to put the electric blanket on and fall asleep, but that's the closest call I've had in quite a while, I think, to running out of power. But that's, as I said, that we're in the themes of the week. I've gone off on a tangent there a little bit, but the struggle to maintain power and to keep things going, keep things topped up. It's an ever present ever since I got the EcoFlow, I guess. Not so much in summer. It was electric galore, but this phone uses a lot of power. The tablet takes quite a lot. They both, if I charge them from empty to full, they both make a noticeable dent in the EcoFlow's reserves, in the percentage charge. So yeah, if today had not been sunny, you know, if this had been an overcast day like some days were this week, starting the day on 8% and with the phone already run down would have been an issue. I mean, entirely survivable. You're talking about sitting around with nothing to do all day instead of watching videos or listening to BBC comedy programs or whatever. But entirely survivable, but just nothing to do if I didn't have power. Other things for the week, as I say, they all tie in together, the weather, and we've had a few cooler nights the back end of the week, and we're going to carry on having cold nights this next week. So I guess I should thank again Adam and Mel from last week who brought me the electric blanket. Absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I just have to be more judicious in how I use it. 15 minutes or 30 minutes at a time is fine. two hours in one go because I fall asleep, that's no good. And 2 hours is the shortest setting on the timer. So I need to stay awake to turn the EcoFlow off, to turn the inverter off, so that it's not providing AC to the electric blanket. So yeah, now other themes that are usually here, like mice and things, not really. There was a couple of days where I was worried it was going to rain because the weather forecast said rain. Didn't happen to any noticeable extent. So those things didn't really happen. So that's all good. So yeah, those, I guess, those are the themes. They mainly tie in together. They're interlinked. But there they go, folks. There they go. Let me get a quick drink and we'll begin on the week proper. We will be beginning, as we usually do, with last Sunday after the TrampCast. That's in a minute. Cheers, folks, if you're drinking along at home. Jack Attack probably is. I want coffee. I think it's cooled down enough for me to put the sippy cup lid on, the insulated lid. Yeah. Oh, I got it upside down and back to front. What an idiot. I'm still new at this cup. I got another one over here. This one from Decathlon, the sports store. This is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, this one really does. 2.5 hours later, it can still be too hot for me to drink. So yeah, okay folks, shall we begin? We're coming up for 21 minutes in, and I guess it's time to begin with the details of the past 7 days. I'll try not to bore you too much, and feel free to jump in and ask any questions. I'll just check chat. How's the audio? Last week when I played it back, it was very crackly. I hope you're not getting... I hope you're not... Oh, look at this. I've missed a load of messages because it... Is your electric blanket in your tent, please? Asks Timony. Yes, it is, my friend. Yes. It runs from the inverter on the EcoFlow. I've got an EcoFlow River 2, which is basically a small... Imagine a generator without the petrol engine or diesel engine. It just stores the solar and is available when needed. Look at all these messages. Okay, here we go. Jacket chili. Okay. So I'll just roll back to Hobo Survival asks, what's for tea tonight? Roll on warmer times. What's for tea? I'm not sure yet. I've got a few of these like dry meals where you just put them in the pan and add boiling water and boil them up for 5 or 10 minutes. I've got a few of those laying around. I've got tins of soup. I had packet soup, but I think those have all run out now. See, because I can't get to the shops, folks, I've become a little bit more reliant on what people drop off to me. Yeah, I can see a cream of mushroom soup over there in a tin. I've got hot dog sausages, very little bread left. I've got half a strip of chorizo, half a chorizo sausage. Maybe I could fry that up and then put the mushroom soup in, water it down, thin it out a little bit. Maybe add a bit of pasta or something into that after. I can knock something together like that. I don't know. That's an option that I have. I'm not overly sure what to. Oh look, I've got to go back again, all the way back. Say sausages. Well, so I got hot dog sausages and I've got chorizo sausages, so they're options. Is your electric blanket in your tent? I think I was answering that. Yes, that connects to the EcoFlow. I'm going to do a separate video. I never really did a proper review of the EcoFlow that I've got. I might do like a day in the life of the EcoFlow. Just to give EcoFlow a bit of advertising, I guess. I was a little disappointed when I first got it. I had a niggle with the firmware, the built-in software in it gave me trouble, and the customer support was damn right lousy, confrontational and aggressive. Yeah, they wouldn't offer a solution except for put it on the back of a lorry and have it taken back to them. But we got past that in the end. They actually relented and sent me an over-the-air firmware update. Well, a reset. They reset it to version 0.0.0 and then it clicks in over the air and downloads the latest version, and it worked. And it's been fantastic ever since. I'd be lost without it. Is it better than Jackery and Bluetti and some of its competitors? I haven't got the experience to say, but all I can say is it's been perfect for me, apart from that one initial glitch when we first got it and tried to do a firmware update. The heat sent you to sleep. Yeah, pretty much. I think it'd been the cool that had been keeping me awake last night, Jack Attack, yeah. And especially because I'd walked the dog. I did it through Pussies and Pianos, didn't I, during Scruff Dog's thing. Tina made me take her for a walk. And I was, even though it's 10 degrees, I actually felt cold because the air was so damp. You could see like mist, like fog, and I could see my breath in front of me. while I was out there, and I just felt a little bit cool after that. So when I relented and turned on the the AC, the inverter, and powered the electric blanket, yeah, it got me. It got me. 2 hours later, I woke up sweating my balls off. Generous, loving people got your back, fella, says Tim Timony. Yeah, people. I mean, I've been amazed at all the help that I've got from people. Oh, itchy nose. That was something I noticed. I don't know if it was last week or the week before. I do tend to touch my nose and my face a lot during these TrampCasts. I'll try not to do that so much. It's a sign people think that you're on drugs. I just get nervous and get an itchy nose, I think is what it is. But I had my first electric party today in Great Yarmouth with the panels outside the van with a friend. Okay, that's, yeah. If you're online and you watch a guy, Hobo Tech, Professor Hobo Tech, he's in America and often out in the desert with his RV or camper van, whatever you want to call it, and he'll get either a big TV or a projector and a big screen, a big white screen, and broadcast for everyone in the camp. Everyone else is struggling to get by for power, but he reviews all this technology and just gets sent it all for free. So he's got more than he needs. He ends up like giving it away. I wouldn't mind getting into some of that, but I doubt it would happen just because of my circumstances. Let's go back. I've got see the thing went away again. There's Jack Attack doing the cheers. Are you actually drinking now, Jack Attack, or are you just saying cheers because I do that? So John's thinking of buying. Oh, I'm waving my finger. Terrible positioning of. Why is the chat not on the other side of the screen? I'm forever waving my hand in front of the camera. Thinking of buying a camper van and doing one. You need nature in your life. Anyone fancying it? You know, I'd love that, but I don't drive, so I could never get one. Even back in the days when I had a business and was working and had cash in the bank. They are expensive though, camper vans or RVs. They're bloody expensive, and if anything goes wrong with them, you got high expenses as well. Especially as most of the ones you would be buying second-hand now probably don't come with the greatest electrics plumbed in. They might have a bit of solar or something plumbed in, but it's not going to be like lithium iron phosphate or whatever. You're going to have to rejig the whole thing. Do you have many neighbours there? Asks Tim Timony. Many neighbours. Yeah, I mean, I've got, there's a little track runs just down here. I'm losing my orientation. It curves around a little bit. The little track, and at the bottom of the track, there's a whole bunch of apartments. And then if you follow the track even further down, it runs down basically to a row of separate houses on the cliff, halfway down the cliffs, on like a terrace down the cliff, a step in the cliffs. So there's quite a lot of apartments, and some people rent them out, some just keep them for themselves and family. Again, we're just... so there's neighbours at the end there, and then there's a main road at the top here with people overlooking. And for a long time they were quite against me, the people up on the main road. They were against having me here. But just lately I've had a couple of them come down and offer me things. It turns out I didn't need what they were offering. One guy came and offered me a mattress, a single bed mattress. I'm laying on top of 2 double mattresses at the minute, and have been all along, ever since I built my second shelter. The first shelter had a single bed in, then I extended that and put a double bed in, and then all of the tents and things I've had since. Tina girl, Tina, steady. If you go back and watch not TrampCast 001, if you go back and watch my very first video, Tina, enough. If you watch my very, very first video, which is entitled something like Hello World, Oncoming Storm, and I'm going to make a chicken stew, or Just go into the videos on the channel and arrange them by oldest first, and the first one that you see is the oldest. And watch that. I'll give a tour inside my second shack. That was six broom handles and a big tarpaulin. And I built a bed off the ground there on top of 2 chairs and some piles of bricks and some wooden beams and some planks. I had to get off the ground then because back then the field flooded. And it flooded knee deep or higher. So yeah, where am I for the chat? You have many neighbours. So yeah, good audio. Thank you for. Oh, Jackie Jack says clicky again, but fine. I don't know. I thought last week maybe I was too close to the microphone or the camera, or maybe I was shouting too much. But it's entirely possible it's just the internet connection, YouTube, or the phone. I mean, there's not a lot I can debug. There's no wiring involved. There's no routers. Routers. There's not a lot I can change. I made sure that all the other apps were turned off and there's nothing downloading or doing anything. The bandwidth I've got is exclusively available to me here, to this one app. I don't know, folks. I don't know what else I can do. Chorizo and mushroom infused bread. Well, you know, I'll see what I can do. I could do another cook. Oh, I did a cookery video one day this week. We should get on with the week. We were 20 minutes in and I was about to start with the week when I noticed all the questions. Good quality products. I like the EcoFlow is top notch, I think, in terms of build quality from what everybody tells me. But I've got a lot of stuff here that's just, I picked up fans. I've got a TV over here that's got a slightly wonky speaker, but it's fine. But I've still never, I've tested it 3 times. I've tested it twice, used it once, and I've had it almost a year now. So I've got a TV I don't use. I had 2 fans here during summer, and the one that I really like is like falling apart and broken now, but good stuff. But things like my head torch and this lamp from Leroy Merlin in Spain. Good. That's good quality. This lamp that was given to me by a chap called Damien way back in the day has proven good and useful. Like I said about these sippy cups, these insulated cups, this one in particular, this one does a good job. This will keep stuff warm for an hour. This one keeps them red hot for over 2. Phenomenal. So yeah, some people have donated some top quality stuff to me. The batteries that I got, the AA and AAA batteries that plug directly into USB and charge directly, those have been an absolute godsend. I had a radio once upon a time before I had the internet and before I had a phone. After the floods ruined my original phone and tablet and the book reader, the Kindle, the Amazon Kindle, one of the originals, not the tablet. Although I did actually, I had a Kindle Fire as well back. Yeah, well, everything got ruined in the floods, and so I've built back up gradually from donations from people, and the batteries. I had a radio and I was going through a set of batteries every 2 days. Because basically I left the radio on for 18 or 20 hours a day because I just needed something. I'd had 4 or 5 months with nothing and I'd been going out of my mind. So just having some noise, some company, human voices in the background. So I was going through batteries at a fair old rate and a couple of euros a week on batteries, and it was a couple of euros I didn't have. So when I got the phone and started getting online, and I got a PayPal account, and people sent me donations, and then I was able to place orders with, I think I bought 1 lot from AliExpress and 1 from Temu, because when I went back to AliExpress to do the second order, they wouldn't let me use PayPal. and that was the only option I had at the time. I didn't have this prepayment debit card that I've got now. So I couldn't, none of the suppliers that were operating through AliExpress would take the PayPal. So I think I got the double A's, the bigger ones, from AliExpress, and I got the triple A's from Temu, and managed both times to get them delivered here, no problem, which has been an issue since. Had a couple of failed deliveries where stuff's gone back or just never got back and gone missing en route. Yeah, but the stuff I've had, those batteries have lasted. I've been using them now for, it's over a year, maybe 18 months. I'd have to look back. I started to do a couple of reviews of tech that I was using and that was useful. But those, if I charge them, they'll go for 2, sometimes 3 days, powering whatever lights or like my head torch and a string of fairy lights I've got in there, plain white, just for like as a night light. So I have the fairy lights on all night, just as like I said, as a light, as a subtle light, and then I have my head torch, which I wear all night long on my head, and I can just reach for it when I hear movement, or when the mice are running through my bedroom like they did, not the week just gone, but the week before, little bastards. What other questions or comments we got? I've enjoyed it. We don't normally get this many questions. I've enjoyed it. Hold on. Tim Timony says about Hello World Oncoming Storm going to make a chicken stew. Are you confirming that's the actual title? It was my first ever, not just my first ever video on YouTube. It was the first time I'd ever made a fucking video. Yeah. There's my mate Jack Attack. Itching, no, here's Tim Timony again. Itching one's nose is a natural response to being lovingly gazed upon. It's nature's way to say a pint might be on the way. That'd be nice. When was the last time I had a pint in a bar? Would have been when I went to Tweety's, when I went to my fish and chips bar. That's got to be 6 months or so ago now, is it? I think. I'd have to look back. Buying land and living on it. Where are you, John? That's you can run into problems with local authorities. Even if you own a field, in many places you're only allowed to live on it for 30 days a year, and then they get arsey with you. That's an awful lot of UK local authorities. They don't like people living on their own land. Unless you do the whole planning permission and plumbing, like a power supply and sewage and plumbed for water. If you get planning permission and make it kind of a permanent structure, you need planning permission, as I say, but then they allow you. You just buy a field and start camping in it. They start counting the days, and any complaints from neighbours, and you'll have the rozzers on you in the local authority. Check your legislation before you spend on the land. Or spend on the land and start planting trees around the edge and camp behind the trees. Let me see any more. I know there are more. Oh, I'm not clicking in the right spot. Jack Attack says it'll be YouTube or the app. Yeah, I mean, I know Clive suffered with it for a while, didn't he? Big Clive had problems with Clickety. John's looking for people to come in with him on the either the camper van or the field. I'd have a go at it, mate, but I don't. I've got a few grand in the bank once I get back to England, but getting back to England's going to be the story. How many batteries did your radio take, please? I think it was 2. I think it was 2 double A's. It's over in the corner of that other room over there now, in the far corner, and that's had water ingress in there now. But I actually had two radios at one point, because Damien bought me one of those survival ones, you know, with the hand crank, the little solar panel, and that one had a built-in battery. But one day that just stopped. I put it out in the sun. It had been charging all morning. I went to turn it on, just nothing, just dead. One day, if I was to get a multimeter and a soldering iron, one day I might have a pop at just investigating, and I know nothing about electronics. But it's got to be just like a blown fuse or a blown capacitor or something simple to, because there was no bang, there was no magic smoke released. It just didn't work when turned on, just silence, absolute nothingness. So there was that, and then there's just a normal standard little, see, people had been giving me a little bit of money for a while. This is back when I had nothing, no phone, no nothing. And I'd never gone into this Chinese bazaar behind me because Tina basically wouldn't let me. And because I thought everything would be too expensive. And when a friend took me over there, my friend Anita took me over there and said, hey, let's get you a radio. And I couldn't believe you could buy radios for as little as like €5 or €6. We went up market a little bit and bought an €8 one. No, it might have been 10. I might be underselling it. Now, there had been times in those months where I'd had that much money in my pocket. And if I'd known I could buy one that cheap, I probably would have done it. I would have even sacrificed like a week or half a week with no food to make a go of just having a radio. It would have been worth that much to me. It really would have. I mean, I was I was struggling with I don't want to say mental health, but just emotional. You know, I was getting beyond the going days, even weeks without speaking to anybody. No light at night, so 12, 13, 14 hours of darkness. No lights, nothing to do. Yeah, no, so I would have sacrificed a week's food just to have a radio and some batteries at that point. Yeah, no, I'm not going to dwell on that too much. Oh, someone asked what it was I was listening to when I had it. There are a couple of English language channels out here, and a couple of them at night, when they stop broadcasting themselves at like 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, they switch over to the BBC World Service. And that was all right. I mean, yeah. Some of them were just talk channels, so through the day, I'd put them on at breakfast and listen to like what the weather's going to be for the day, which was good to know, because until that point I'd had nothing in terms of predicting the weather. Maybe I'd stop and talk to someone and someone would say, oh, it's going to rain next week. That was as close a guide as I would have had back then. So having a radio and listening to that in the morning, then there'd be a bit of pop music, usually old, golden oldie stuff, you know, 70s, 80s, 90s, rather than more up to date. The odd more modern record. But some of their afternoon broadcasts were a bit trashy, gossipy, you know, or outright adverts. There's a program they'd bring on a dentist, and the whole 2-hour program is just advertising this dentist's services. Nah. But then at night you get the BBC World Service, and that was all right. Although after a while that started to get a bit repetitive. They would start repeating some of a program that had been on last week at 9 o'clock at night would be on a week later at 2 o'clock in the morning, and because I'm awake a lot at night, it got a bit repetitive and boring. Any more before we move on? We've got to get on to this week's events. Sparkly Warmth for the Weary Stranger, fairy lights. Yeah. I got them, a friend got me them for Christmas. They're supposed to be €4 per string, with, I think it's 30 lights on a 3 meter string, something like that. They were supposed to be €4, and they picked up 2 strings of them for me. And when they got to the checkout, they were half price, so they got both for €4 total. They take three AA batteries, and I think all my AA. I've only got one of the strings powered at the minute, and all my batteries are kind of in use. I've misplaced 3 AAAs. This place. Let me show you. Let me show you what happens. Someone gives me something. Someone gives me something and it gets put down on the table for a while. And eventually it'll get kind of filtered away and sorted away into some plastic boxes or racking or shelving. I'll find somewhere for things in the end, you know? And but in the meantime, other things that were on the table already get buried and get lost, and yeah, it all just becomes a bit... I was saying to someone the other day, I've got a big plastic box for keeping mice away, but it'll be like, it's not quite a metre wide, but say 3/4 of a metre by a couple of feet deep and maybe 18 inches, 2 feet wide and 18 inches deep. I'm mixing my meters and my... I'm that used to try to translate everything for all the audience, metric, and I'm mixing and matching, aren't I? 3/4 of a metre wide by 2 feet. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, it's a good size. I've got these good sized plastic boxes that people have brought me over the months, and I'll get them and I'll put my pastas and rices and things in the box, and then something gets put on top of the box, and now it's not so easy to get into the box, so I shy away from getting my food out of the box. Something else gets put on, something else gets put on. 3 months later I open the box and remember that I've got pasta and rice and a pack of biscuits or whatever. Incidentally, multi-packs of biscuits, if you can get 4 packs of biscuits for €1.25, you're not doing bad, are you? I seem to, every box I've got, every box that's got food in that's been like put away somewhere has got a multi-pack of biscuits in there somewhere. I got to start going through the food I've actually got. Babe, Tina girl. Let's show you to the world again. Let's do, it's a double click to get to Tina. Here she is. Look this way. Look at the peoples. Say hello. Show them what a nice girl you are, really. None of this barking. You don't need to bark. That's my Tina girl. Oh, hand in front of the camera yet again. Oh, I've done the... Yeah, red tape. Yeah, the thing is that in relation to the fact that local authorities won't let you, they won't let you sleep in your own field. Yeah, wild camping, they kick you off. I got lucky because they tried moving me on. They spent months trying to move me on from here, and I stood my ground. The first guy wanted a fight. He arrived and said, "You're gone in 24 hours, or you have trouble with me." And puffed his chest out and reached for his baton, and you know. And I just said, "No, I'll be here." And I was worried to hell. And the next day I waited for them, and they didn't come. And then I was told I had a week to move. Then I was told 10 days. Then they told me they were going to get the court. I said I wouldn't leave without paperwork from the court. 4 or 5 times they came to get my details to give to the court, supposedly, you know, give to the court. Never happened. They brought the chief of police or the chief of the Policia Local and had him in the field here walking around. He wouldn't acknowledge me, but he had 4 or 5 of his other guys here asking me all these questions. He walked around the field, stomped around, and in the end they all went and had a conference at the end of the field, and I said, "I'm going in, guys, bye." And they took 20 minutes and they left. I'm convinced it's private land, and without a complaint from the landowner, they're powerless. But it didn't stop them trying for all those months, and they arrested me, was it twice, 3 times, whatever it was? Yeah, I don't know. I won't go into too much. There's a whole playlist of me and the police. My police if you go to my channel page and you click on playlists and look through them, there's one that's all about me and the Rosas. Some of them are live, some of them are recordings while they're here. Some I recorded and released as videos. Some I live streamed. And I know there's a me after the event doing like my contemporaneous notes about what happened. Radio apps on the phone, yeah. Actually, my previous phone, not this one, my previous one did proper radio. The medium wave, AM, FM, whatever it was, FM, I think it was. Where you plug your earphones in, which acts as the antenna, and it had a proper app. So even without internet, it would have done the whole radio thing. This phone won't do that. This one hasn't got that. So the only way here is to do the actual listening over the internet. BBC Sounds or TuneIn. I used to have TuneIn Pro, but that lapsed. It was on a different phone and I've lost the login. So yeah, radio. I'm great now. The package. So, oh god, we should get to this. We should start talking about the week, folks. My phone renewal was last Sunday night. Part of the reason that I'd paid it in the morning, but it left me low on cash. And part of the reason that I was looking for donations. My phone renewal, I'd paid it in the morning and it went through and renewed at night. And the package has increased, the package is extended. For the same amount of money, I get more gigabytes. So now I'm happy I can watch YouTube without worrying about running out of gigabytes. I am still in the habit of watching everything on the lowest resolution possible, just to preserve bandwidth. But I'm finding I'm getting to the end of the month and I've got 70, 80, 90 gigabytes left over, and it rolls over. So as well as the 125 that I'm getting, I got another 90 to tack on top of it. So this is why I can now do, when I do videos, they're in a slightly higher resolution. These live streams I think are in a higher resolution than I would have typically done them in the past. And I can watch. So when Big Clive's broadcasting at 720p, I can still watch it. Whereas previously I would have had to jib out. I wouldn't have been comfortable using, what's that, about a gigabyte or 1.25 gigabytes per hour or something at 720, I think. That would have been too much for me in the past. Now I'm all right with it because I've got it to spare. More questions if there are any, and then we must get going. Yeah. Timony's saying, brilliant story, a radio you can rely on. Sometimes it doesn't matter what the content is, it's just the fact that you've got something, you've got noise in the background. What local food do you like besides chorizo and tortillas? I like lots, but I was never really one for eating out. Like even in the UK, I wasn't a restaurant or I am pretty much just a traditional British bloke when it comes to like fish and chips, full English breakfast, egg butties, chip butties. I made a Christmas dinner. I like a roast dinner. But local meals, I like paella. I think it's a lot of fuss about nothing. I mean, the way they talk about having to add it in bit by bit over about 4 hours to get it just so. I made the pseudo paella where you just stick it in a pan, a normal pan. Get your rice going, use whatever stock you're using and throw in your mussels or prawns or whatever you. And the way they mix and match as well. You'll have prawns, mussels, chicken and sausage all in the one meal. That, my mum would have called that playing with your food, messing with your food. Surf and turf kind of stuff, where you've got multiple things going on at once. You've got fish and meat and chicken all in the same meal. I'll eat it. It's okay, I like it, but there's very little food I won't eat. There's no food I don't eat. Cod roe and caviar. It's the texture more than the taste. I got no time for that shit. But that, in my entire life, that's about all I can think of that I won't eat. Let's have a go here. Let's just go back. Tim Timney downloads podcasts for free on public internet and listens offline throughout the day. I used to do that, and I had some friends' Wi-Fi stored on the phone. I'd stand outside their houses and top up. Back when I was living in the park before I moved into this field, I used to do that. But now I've got 15 euros a month, and I could actually now that it's so. Back when I used to do more YouTube videos, I needed the 15 euro package for the uploading videos and downloading them and editing things and messing about with things and downloading the live streams and clipping them into when I used to do the clips, the shorter. I used to break down and publish the numbers section as its own video and the thank you section as its own video. So I had to download the live stream and then edit and mess, and I had to download it at the highest quality. Well, now Tina's not so mobile, we don't get out and about as much. I haven't got any videos to do. We don't go anywhere, we don't do anything. It's not like we can go on the walk. We used to do walks and do a video of the walk, the separate places we went. Our videos of Tina running around and playing. She can hardly walk now, never mind run. So we don't go anywhere. There's no story to tell, there's no video to do. We can't even make it to the cliff top 100 meters that way and do like the sunrise videos we used to do. Some days she's a bit more mobile than others. We might try and get there one morning when she's a little bit more mobile, but it varies. But what I'm saying is, I don't do as many videos nowadays, therefore don't use as much data. I could probably step down to the 10 euro package instead of the 15. But the data I've got saved up, the data that's unused that rolls over, wouldn't roll over to the lesser package, to the lower package. So that kind of anchors me and makes me think, oh, it's only an extra £5 only. I'm a guy with no money throwing an extra £5 at something and saying only a £5. I know how bad that sounds, guys. I know how bad that sounds. Okay, I've got to wrap up this question and answer section, this impromptu. I've never had so many people asking questions. Your rugged charm sees you through. Yeah, okay. Jimmy the Hobo asks, how long have you been homeless in Spain? My friend, it's I've been in Spain coming up for 9 years. February the 17th will be 9 years in Spain. I've been homeless for two and a half, maybe. 14, yeah, it'll be 2.5 years on the 14th of February. Because it was the 14th of August that I stepped out of a friend's house to be truly homeless. I stayed with a friend for a little while. So 6 months after August is February, yeah? So Valentine's Day. There we go. 2.5 years living on the streets of Torrevieja. 2 months in a park, the rest in this field. With all that brings. But I said at the start of the show, you might have come in late. TrampCast 001, the very first TrampCast. I detail everything: who I am, what my background was, my employment, my education, my business, why I moved to Spain, how I eventually became homeless, how I've got money in the bank but my bank won't let me have money, won't let me have my money, how I've got a legal thing hanging over me that makes it difficult. My bank won't give me the money until I walk into my branch in the UK. Spain won't let me leave until I sort this legal thing out, which I can't really sort out until I've got money. Catch 22. Yeah. TrampCast 001. Highly recommended. I think it's about 2.5 hours long. I know. The rate we're going here, that we're coming up on an hour. The rate we're going here, this one's going to be longer. I should get chickens. Wow, there's an idea. Chickens. We've got cats around here and rats and mice. I'm not sure. I'm not sure chickens would be a good idea. Not for me anyway. I'm assuming you were talking to me and not amongst yourselves about living in a field. Um, I, Tim Timney, sounds like a delicious paella, your concoction. It's a fairly standard mix around here. To throwing like chorizo, prawns, mussels, chicken, and whatever else I said before. Whatever sausage you've got lying around, but a chorizo would do, wouldn't it? We're in Spain. Do you live near a water body? The cliff is 100 meters that way, and then there's this little bit of water called the Mediterranean just at the bottom of the cliffs. But Tina's immobile, and she hates water and won't go anywhere near water. Never would. She's only ever been washed about half a dozen times. I once, back when I had an apartment and we had friends with the car, we went to the doggy beach at Santa Pola. I still think there are no dog beaches in Torrevieja. They're paranoid about losing their blue flag status, and they think that a dog in the water is going to pee or poo, and that's going to be the end of the end of life. So they give out €1,000 fines if you have a dog on the beach or in the sea. Although they waive it at certain times a year, apparently. But anyway, we used to go to Santa Pola's near the Alicante airport. It's not actually in Alicante, the Alicante airport. But we used to go to this dog beach, and Tina would run along the edge of the water, no matter how far out we went into the water. Only once or twice did she swim out, and the first time she did it, she was panicking. It was like separation anxiety, because me and my lady friend at the time, we went out into the sea, and we clapped, and Tina was frightened she was going to be left behind. So she jumped into the water and doggy paddled like mad towards me, but she was panicked. She didn't know how to stop. She didn't know how to turn. She came right at me, and I'm there kind of bare chested, and I grab her, but she carries on clawing at the water, well, at me. She carries on trying to paddle, and I was like chum, they call it, the bloody meat that they throw in the water to get the sharks to come in. And here I am in the med with all these scratches and this bits of blood in the bloody water. So discretion was a better part of valor. I carried her back, literally carried her back to the beach, and we were quite a way out. We must have been about 100 meters out. It's quite a shallow slope on that particular beach. But she clawed the shit. She hates water, is what I'm saying. Trying to bath her or wash her is, yeah. I'm not with you there, Jack Attack. What's $5 for entertainment or needed information? I need more of a sentence fragment than that. How's the tent holding up? The tent is dead. The tent is dead. Have you not been watching? Hold on. Let me... one more click. So, the tent, the zip on the main door, which you can see inside the top there, the one that's kind of... I got a clamp there holding the door closed towards the top, and towards the bottom there's another clamp, hold on, there, another clamp there. The couple of bits of velcro that kind of sort of hold it kind of sort of closed. We got the roof's entirely missing. The roof is just a tarpaulin. The roof went one weekend or 1 week. 4 separate panels all burst and blew away. Once they ripped, they just blew away entirely. There's a big, where that bin bag's hanging down there, there's a slit there from ceiling to floor. There's a big rip there. Similarly over here, this entire wall's missing just behind me. There'd be a wall with a window in it, and all we've got is the curtain inside, and then the tarpaulin. And the tarpaulin's wearing out and got tears and leaks and rips and stress points. Back to me. Let me make sure that we're not zoomed in or something. Oh, there we go. Make sure I'm not off. I did this last week and ended up with my head off the screen. I'm in a foreign country. There's no. I'm in Spain. My bank's in the UK. They froze my account. So I'll give you the potted history. Before moving to Spain, I took money out of my main bank account to put into a secondary bank account, a rainy day fund in case something happened. You lose your bank card, you don't want to be stuck in a foreign country. So I had a second account and a second bank card. But I was here more than 3 years and the cards lapsed, and COVID happened and you couldn't get hold of banks, you couldn't do anything, and because I'd got this rainy day fund that I'd never touched, and I'd never touched it because it's a rainy day fund. You don't dip into it until it's a fucking rainy day, do you? They closed the account. They not closed, what's the word they used? They declared it dormant, which means they take the money out of your account. Your account kind of sort of doesn't exist. There's a record of it, but it's not your money anymore, it's theirs, until you prove your identity. And normally you would walk into the bank, you'd show them a passport or a utility bill, some proof of ID, and you'd say, here I am, that's mine, and they'd recreate your bank account and put your money back in. You'd get no interest in the meantime, but that's the process. Well, I can't. They're demanding I walk into my branch in the UK, which they closed, but whatever branch is now allocated to me and is theoretically my branch, I have to walk into. They won't accept anybody else. Technically my wife is still my wife. We're not divorced or legally separated. She walked in, marriage certificate in hand, and said, hey, and they said, no, your name's not on the account, doesn't count. She said, well, look, I can get him on the phone, we can talk to him, we can show you his passport over the screen. And a lot of these these banks here will do that. My mate Ismo lost his card one time, and all he had to do was he did a FaceTime with his bank. They told him, like, hold up so many fingers or do certain gestures and move your hand, and to prove it wasn't a still or a photograph. And then they said, now show us your passport. And they showed him it, he showed them it, and then they said, now after we take a picture and email it to this address, and you're good. And he was up and running like same day or next day, whatever. My branch want me to appear in country, and the police here won't let me leave the country. They arrested me at the airport the last time I tried. Yeah, that was a fun one. God, guys, we're over an hour and I haven't started. So no, the bank won't. It's a no-go with the bank. Hello, Karen. How you doing? I haven't started yet, Karen. These people keep asking questions. Tina set sail. The doggy paddle saw her through. It did. It saw her all the way to. It saw her all the way to her daddy, and then she clawed him to bits. And I had to get out of the sea before the sharks came looking. Clamping the door. I've got the entire roof's held on with these marvelous clamps that my friend Steve got me. He used to work on markets and knew about fastening tarpaulins to metal frames. Oh, okay, I'm with you, Jack Attack. Yeah, the extra $5 is entertainment, and yeah, that's kind of what I said to myself initially. Well, initially it was required. Now it's kind of optional, but yeah. My abode is defying the law of physics, Chief, says Tim Timony. Oh, mate, we'll get to it. We'll get to it when I cover the week. Jack Attack here. Jack Attack got me to install a new weather app, which at first I wasn't too keen on, but I've added it to my mix. I'm jumping between 3 weather apps to try and get a proper sense of what's going to happen at any one time. And the weather app he pointed me to shows me the average wind speed, which is what all the other apps show as wind speed, but it also shows the gusts. It shows the strength or speed of the individual gusts. And it was when I first saw that was frightening. I've been sitting here with two weather apps telling me that the wind is at like 10 kilometers or 20 kilometers an hour, and the thing's been like fucking bending over, almost blowing away. If it wasn't for the fact that there's an armchair and a rug and a table and a telly and two mattresses and, you know, 100 weight of food in here, it would have rolled away and blown away before now. So it's doing all of this, and the weather app's like, oh yeah, 20 kilometers an hour. And I'm thinking, well, 20 kilometers an hour is nothing. And then I look on this other app and it says, oh yeah, 15 kilometers an hour, but with gusts of 55 kilometers an hour and 60 kilometers an hour. And I'm thinking, that's why the tent's battered more than I think it should be. There's a video. There's a video of the tent before this, which was like smaller, but there's one where it's just really jellyfishing, and we're in like storm force winds. I can tell it was storm force winds, and the apps are going, yeah, 30 kilometers an hour, and I'm like, fuck. Every other day this week's been 30 kilometers an hour, and it was a breeze. This was like, I would have loved to have seen what the actual gusts were that day. That's the day when I walked down this track and almost got hit by a branch. Like half a tree flew past my head at like 9 o'clock at night. It just, yeah, 30 fucking kilometers an hour. Ismo, my friend. Ismo's not listening or not been listening. Okay. Hope you're okay, Ismo. Last I heard, you were about to have a couple of days off work and sink some beer. You'll be back at work by now, though. Okay, John asks the question that these are all covered in the TrampCast 001. I do recommend it, guys, for a more full answer. But when do you think you'll get back to the UK? I've literally got no idea. The last 2 years, I've been literally just in survival mode. Just get by week to week. If I'm still alive next week, I've achieved something. If I've got enough money to buy food or things in place, so I've got to be careful what I say here, guys. I've been cooking recently with a gas stove. Well, it's not long ago the police came and took away everything I owned. They took everything away under the guise of fire protection, fire safety. They took plastic garden furniture away because it was a fire risk. They took bottles of water away because they were a fire risk. They took away a gas barbecue that I had because of fire risk, and 2 gas bottles because they think that a butane or propane bottle will explode if the sun shines on it. Idiots. I told them it has to hit 450 degrees before it's even a possibility. Basically, it has to be in a house fire. They don't just explode because of the sun. But they wouldn't listen. They took it all away. So some of you guys came down and resupplied me with some essentials. I have to be careful what I say. I don't want them coming back and taking again. But it's survival. I've been playing survival the last 2 years. In my first 2 or 3 months, I lost a third of my body weight, which was quite concerning. I was a chunky 100 kilograms. And it wasn't just fat. I mean, I did have a belly and what have you, but I had the shoulders and the chest and, you know, the arms. I now don't. I lost a lot. I've put some back on, but it's mainly fat I've put back on. I haven't got the shoulders and the biceps and, you know, the arms I used to have. So I've been playing survival. Getting back to the UK needs a coalescence of circumstances. It needs a few things to happen at the same time. Yeah, I'm the anchor that's holding the tent in place. Yeah, me and this chair that Karen and husband brought me one day. They found it next to a bin and brought. It's like I don't know if it's a Queen Anne or something, but the branch didn't have my name on it. No. Yeah, I saw that Jack Attack, all the different overlays and what. I've got to learn how to use it properly. When I turn it on, I have a trouble just getting it to zoom back in on this area. I've got a heart on the map, but it doesn't open anchored on that area, so I have to navigate back in on on that particular weather app. Oh, he must have had a day off. He's been watching the Premier League football at the sports bar and drinking beer. Hope you're okay, my friend. Kipis, as we say in Finlandia. In the UK, they will put you up in a 3-star hotel minimum and call you a protected minority. Only if I can find a canoe or a dinghy and get myself over there. Guys on the streets in the UK aren't particularly treated particularly well, I don't think. But yeah, if you're just arriving and you call, well, I'm not going to say that. That would sound racist. I was going to say, and if you're called Muhammad, but I've said it now, haven't I? Yeah, if you aren't British, of course. Yeah, you followed up. You filled in the part that I just added anyway. Yeah. Okay, folks. I've caught up on the chat. I didn't realise so much had built up while I wasn't. The YouTube app's useless. That's all you need to know. If I had a setup like Scruff Dog with about 8 monitors, and I could have all these things in different windows and different stuff going on. One day, maybe. One day. Okay, folks, we are over an hour and a quarter in. 1 hour, 16 minutes. And shall we begin? Okay, we're going to begin. We begin, as we usually do, with last Sunday, after the TrampCast finished. So, this is where Tina had started whimpering again. The second week on the trot, she started whimpering during TrampCast. Now, I'd walked her immediately before the show, so her ablutions, you know, her needs should have been taken care of. She should be able to sit there for 2 hours without needing walkies. But apparently, you know, she was making a fuss, so I took her out, and we literally got outside the door, and she started. So I'm glad she let me know. We actually got outside before anything was let go of. So yeah, after that, just got basically. I had to dismantle this. I've showed this before. I'll show you again, just for anybody who's new. You are on top of a laundry bin, with a chopping board to give me some extra width so that I can put, you know, so that I can set everything out that I need, and then a dog food holder tub. Used to be a pan I used, and then the phone display. So I have to dismantle that at the end of the show, and then I have to take some things that I've moved off this chair that are generally stored here, that are currently on the bed. I have to take those away and bring those out and put them back on the chair. So I have to make room. I have to open this space back up again and manipulate things. And then I got onto the bed, watched videos, and just cuddled my doggy, not realizing, of course, that Elisha had sent me a PayPal donation during last week's TrampCast, as I mentioned in the I think in the Thankyous. I didn't see the message that day. I think it was the next morning before it kind of came to my attention. Just because I got the bing bong, you know, during the show, and I can't switch away from the app. I can't. If I move away from this screen, we're kaput. The stream ends. With a slight chance of being able to reconnect after. Sometimes, but not always. I've moved things around now. Look, you're too far away. Not comfortable. So that was my Sunday, guys. I just got onto the bed. If you remember, I was finishing off The Mentalist. I'd been watching The Mentalist for the last few weeks, and I was just coming to the end. Such an adventurous life. So that basically, YouTube videos, watching The Mentalist, and I was still watching Lie to You. I've since finished both of those series entirely. And that was a problem, because then I had to find something new to watch. So guys, into that Sunday evening and night. Oh, midnight. The Donegal landing. Hello, my friend. So midnight Sunday last week, my phone renews, and it's always a little bit iffy. Sometimes they'll cut the connection for 15-20 minutes, and I'll be panicking, thinking that you know, I might have to go at the shop the next day and try and explain and try and find out what's going on, because without the phone connection, without the data connection, I can't do anything. I can't chase up what might be the problem. So the longer that delay goes on, the more I get worried. But it resolved pretty sharpish. So that was good. So you know, into the night. Yeah, the forecast was for clouds and strong winds on Monday, so overnight and into Monday, and yeah, we got stronger than we expected. But a late start to the morning, awake most of the night, which is becoming fairly typical. Awake most of the night, then fall asleep 4, 5, 6 in the morning. Wake up anywhere really from anywhere from 7 to 9, even 10 o'clock sometimes. It's getting a little bit bad, because I don't like to be in bed asleep while there's movement around me, people coming and going, people walking dogs or walking, because I could get a wrong and come down the field and rob stuff. Never happened, but I want to be alert to it. I mean, last week I told you about how kids had come down the field and thrown a stone at the tent right next to where my head was. I mean, a little bit up and to the left of me. So I want to be listening out. I want to be aware of what's going on around me. So staying in bed until 9:30, 10 o'clock, 11. Sometimes I'm awake and just stay in bed anyway. That's all right, because at least I can hear what's going on around you. Is that for me, Tim? How do I manage with a 90-day Europe rule? I've been here 9 years. I haven't managed any fucking rules, any paperwork. That's part of my trouble, really. When it does come time to get out of the country, they're going to lock me up in a dark room and ban me from Schengen for maybe indefinitely. I mean, I got to accept that that's probably what's going to happen, because it's not like I'm entering and leaving the country, so I haven't gone through any checkpoints. I entered legally at the time. I just didn't do the NIE and the Residencia and Padrón and Padronamiento, all those other good things that you do in Spain. So yeah. Anyway, back to Monday morning and staying in bed too late. So usual morning routine: walk the dog, put the solar panel out in readiness for when the sun's coming up, and it's not just coming up, but when it gets above the trees and moves around onto the panel properly. Make my morning coffee, which nowadays is 3 cups of coffee at once. I have my normal beaker, which is just an open plastic cup. I have this insulated one, which will keep things good and hot probably for the first hour, and warm thereafter. And then I've got this champ here, this absolute fantastic thing that keeps things red hot for 2.5 hours. It keeps them warm for... I had one the other day. I was sipping from it after about 3.5, nearly 4 hours, and it was still warm. Not red hot, but still warm. I shouldn't be drinking from that one while this one's still here. Let me grab a swig. This one doesn't seal so perfectly. Once you start tipping it up, right up, it starts coming out of the lip from around the lid, rather than through the sippy slot that's sitting there waiting. Oh, for light, folks. Let me know if you need me to put a light on. I'll get it here in readiness. Maybe I'll put it on and we'll see. Why is it not coming on? Oh, that's not a good sign. There we go. I'll put it there on a low power, and I'll turn it up as needed. The green one here is fantastically insulated. You can't feel any heat on it at all. Maybe the metal rim at the top, which is on level with the lid, you get a little bit of heat there. but you feel nothing through the cup itself. Decathlon. Has it got a brand? Quechua insulated 12 fluid ounce, which is what? 3/4 of an American pint. Is it 3/4 and 3/5 of a British pint, if I remember right? Something like that. Because our pints are bigger. Because we're real men and we drink beer. How come you don't have a tan living outside? Asks Tim Timony. I spend most of my time inside. Just recently, I've been sitting out a bit more, like in the morning, well, late morning, early afternoon, drinking my coffee and cooking. Put a green screen up. Yeah, if I could find something green. One day. But I've been, just to answer Tim Timony's question there, I've been, because Tina's not mobile and it's been winter, we've been inside. There was nowhere, even in summer, there was nowhere to go, nothing to do. We used to walk up to the park and sit under trees, and I would half sunbathe and half sit in the shade. Half sunbathe, half in the shade. This last year has been, with her decreased mobility, or decreasing mobility as the year's gone on, we haven't had anywhere to go, anything to do. And in winter, just sitting out in dull overcast or in rain or in the cold wasn't a thing. So that's why there's no real tan. I am actually a little bit red at the minute, but this lighting, I'm inside a blue tent with a yellow light shining on me. It's not so easy to see. If I take my top off and look at, you know, at like the waistband, you know, where then even my flabby whites aren't as white as they used to be. You live a free life with Tina. Free as in freedom, apart from the harassment from the police all that time. Yeah, babies pram. People have suggested babies prams and little trolleys, and I could maybe knock something up. I've got one of these old lady shopping trolleys, which is, you know, there's a set of wheels on there and what have you. Maybe, you know, but it's not like I can go out and buy something useful, you know, something good. Yeah, it would definitely mean we're not stuck in I mean, until fairly recently, it's only a month or two ago, we could walk out to the Chino Bazaar, to the shop over there, and we could get to the cliff tops. But then she went through a phase of deterioration. She's been relatively stable just recently, you know, not as in not deteriorating. She's unstable as hell. I mean, she's falling over all over the place, walking sideways and everything. But but she hasn't been deteriorating. So that's, God, you guys and these questions. I'm supposed to be telling you about my week. We spent the first hour just chatting about I've never had so many questions and so much chat. Thank you guys. That's amazing. Thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're of a mind and you're not already subscribed. Where am I here, guys? Let me just get back to this. So my Monday morning, late start to the routine. Yeah, it was so windy. My gas ring, my stove, wouldn't stay lit, even on high flow, high gas. So I had this this sheet of, I can't tell whether it's meant to be roof felt or whether it's a really janky underlay. It's almost like a bitumen or tar thickness. I thought it might be something for a shed roof or something. I don't know. Whatever it is, I've had this thing lying here for months. I picked it up one day thinking that might be handy one day. That might be useful. I didn't know what it was. I just had to carry it back while I went shopping one time with Tina. And it's been sat there doing nothing. So I stood it on its edge and stood two chairs and leaned it against them and tried to fashion a windbreak so I could at least boil some water for my coffee. which worked to an extent, but there were still eddies coming around. You could still feel the wind swirling around it, over it, a little bit under it where the ground was uneven. But it worked enough to make my coffee, but not enough. So I've been cooking recently. It wasn't, the wind was too strong. It's not like you could put a pan on and cook something for 20 minutes. Every now and again it would take a strong gust and get blown out still. And, you know, you don't want to have gas flowing out and not lit. So it was okay to supervise it for 5 or 10 minutes and make coffee, just not enough to cook. But it was a strong breeze. As I was mentioning about the app that Jack Attack put me onto, an app called Windy. Tells you not only the average wind speed, which is a figure that all the other apps give, and they were all saying, oh, 30 kilometers an hour, whatever. But this Windy app was telling the actual gusts, and they were 60 kilometers an hour. That was noticeable. When you're in a broken tent and trying to fashion a windbreak to make some coffee, can Tina's problems be sorted? Asks John. I don't think so, John. The rapid rate of progression. She was kicked by a policeman 8 months ago, maybe 10. She was kicked when they came to arrest me one time. I saw them kick her twice, then they dragged me off, and who knows what they did to her after that. They were trying to capture her but failed, left her running around the field in the end, and they all just went away and left her. But how many times they kicked her, what they did to her. There'd been a sense of something going a little wrong with one leg a little bit before that. But since then, it's been a fairly rapid, what's the word I'm looking for? I said it before. It's been a rapid fall off. It's been getting worse, quite rapidly. Now, a lot of people think that it's hip related, but there are other signs that I've got that that's not the case. I don't want to go into too many details, but there's some strong hints it's neurological, really, and that what the police did maybe just exacerbated something or made it more obvious. I'll tell you. I mean, the main thing that signals to me that it's not just an injury or like a lot of people think it's arthritis in a hip. Or hip dysplasia, which is a form of arthritis. That hip dysplasia comes on off early in a dog's life often, or slowly over a long protracted period as they get older. Tina's has come on rapidly, basically in midlife. She's 8.5. Nah, she'll be 9 soon. She's not that old. And she's not overweight or any of the other things that lead to like hip dysplasia or arthritis or any of those other things. But the thing that makes me think it's neurological is the tickle spot. So when you tickle a dog somewhere on their belly, it takes you a little while, but you find that one spot that they've got. And then their back leg goes and they have trouble kind of standing up because you found that one spot, and it's like that uncontrollable tickle and the reflex that goes with it. You tickle Tina anywhere now and that happens, but it happens with both legs, which means she falls over almost as soon as you touch her anywhere. As soon as you give her any kind of, not even a tickle, just a good touch. As soon as you pat her, her legs give and her back legs give and she's down, which to me says neurological. The nerve signals are they're being picked up in places they shouldn't. They're leaking out of the nerve that they should be in. And they've been transmitted and picked up by other places, and instead of one leg going like that, both just collapse under her. So yeah, that's where we're at now. My position, it's not like I can be running to the vets week in, week out. It's not like I can be paying for weekly or monthly injections or a course of treatments. I just haven't got that. I haven't. Yeah. So I don't. I don't think it can be sorted, and even if it could, if it was hip dysplasia, you'd be looking at like a double hip replacement. What you're looking at, 3, 4, 5 grand per leg? I'm a tramp living in a fucking field. So yeah. Okay, folks, let's go back. We were looking at how I couldn't cook on Monday morning. I could make coffee, but I couldn't cook. So food that day was pate sandwiches, and a friend had brought me some tomato and cucumber the week before. So I smeared some pate on some slices of bread, chopped a tomato or two and some cucumber, and that was my food. That was my food for that day, really. And yeah, I sat down and again. So I'd watched TrampCast back at one point on the Sunday night, and I watched it back again Monday afternoon. Just because I couldn't get over the clicking sound with the audio, but also how my head filled the. My head is like this big on the screen at the minute. It's filling like about half to 2/3 of the height of the screen. Last week, my head was at the top, and the bottom of my face was off the bottom of the screen most of the program. That's not what I was seeing while I was recording it or broadcasting it. I don't know what my phone was playing at or what YouTube was playing at, but the video that you were getting wasn't the video I was broadcasting, or it wasn't what I was seeing anyway. Anyway, I watched it back, a little bit cringy. It was an alright kind of show in and of itself. What I was saying was kind of alright, apart from when I mixed up East and West a couple of times. Sorry, I was talking about a storm on the West Coast, and I kept saying East for the first half an hour of the programme. Sorry, folks. I do know my Easts from my Wests. I just misspoke in the moment. So yeah, so I watched TrampCast back, and that was most of the day gone. So night time, walked Tina, and after walking her, I had my head torch on, and I caught these two eyes staring at me from in the bushes around the corner from where Tina was doing her business. And I had a look, and there was this white cat sat in the field. And if you've been here a while, I like to encourage the cats to come. TrampCast. No, that's not where we're at here, sorry. I am a tramp, I live in a field. I'm not a trump. I do trump. I fart, mainly in bed, but no. TrampCast. The successes, the failures, and the other happenings of the life of a homeless Englishman trapped by circumstance in Spain. Okay, where was I? This cat, these eyes in the field. And I told the tale a couple of weeks ago of a ginger cat coming actually into the tent and me accidentally chasing it out because I thought it was a rat or a mouse. He's around still. He's still around. The ginger cat. The ginger cat's still around, but is that you off, Tim Timony? Is that you leaving, mate? Best of luck if it is. Have a good week. Or maybe I'm just misunderstanding or misinterpreting your message. But Pew Pew Banner McGrew, Cuthbert Dibble and Grub. Trumpton, I'm with you. And Camberwick Green and all of that. I'm with you, Jack Attack. Brian Cant. You got to be careful how you say that one. I think we're at that stage where I need to turn the brightness up on this. But yeah, I wanted to encourage this cat. So I brought Tina back to the tent, and I got one of these plastic tubs and put some of her dog food in, and I went out and tried to feed this white cat to encourage it, bring it nearer. Because if I can have the cats around here, it'll keep the it'll keep the rats and the mice away, won't it? But dog, you know. I want to encourage the cats in, but she chases them away every chance she gets. Yeah, a little bit awkward. But that's my girl. But I tried to encourage the cat, but he ran away from me, and I left the food in that spot overnight, but he didn't take it. But he's got a collar on. He's you know, he probably isn't starving to death. He's got a home to go to for food when he wants it. But I tried. So after the cat ran away, I made some hot coffee, but it was still windy, so the coffee still took a long time, you know. It still, even with the windshield, with the wind guard, windbreak, whatever you want to call it, it still took more than twice as long as normal to boil the water for coffee. But I made it. I managed to have a nice warm drink and climb back into bed. And because I've still... You remember a couple of weeks ago I was making hot water bottles? When we had those nights that were down around 4 degrees, I was making hot water bottles. I've never taken those out of the bed. They're still in there. So what happens is when I climb into bed, even after a couple of hours away, it's still warm in there. It's still toasty. My body heat warms the hot water bottles, and then after a break, when I'm out and about for a while and I get back into bed, it's still warm from the hot water bottles. So yeah, that's how I'm getting by. The nights haven't been that cold last week until the last couple of nights. Even then, it's more me feeling cold, not it actually being cold. I think I said before, last night I went out and walked Tina at about 1 o'clock, something like that, and it was 10 degrees. But I felt cold afterwards. Whereas normally it has to get down around 8 or 6 for me to actually feel actual cold. I can feel that it's cool, but I'll be warm. Hence I'm still wearing shorts and a t-shirt most of the time. But no, we've got cold nights coming again this next week. I think I mentioned that before. So, Tina girl, Tina, stop, it's just a car. Hey babe, hey baby, it's just a car going past, it's okay. It's one of the neighbours. No, enough. Suficiente. Basta. Para. Para. Do we need another light, guys? I feel like one half of me is in darkness. What have I got? There should be 2 or 3 lamps here and there's not. What did I do with the other one? It's on the floor over there, isn't it? Alright, I'll put this one on instead. Oh, this one's a little bit stark. And a little bit flickery sometimes. Anyway, yeah, here we go. So that was Monday night. I got my coffee, got back into bed, and the bed was lovely, toasty, warm still. But like I said, it's a windy night, and that makes it a little bit cooler inside the tent because we're not exactly draft proof here with all the missing roof, missing walls, holes in walls, doors wide open. You know. So anyway, I was awake until 4 AM Monday night into Tuesday morning, mainly trying to monitor the wind and make sure that every now and again this roof might like blow off. If a couple of clamps come off on the leading edge where the wind's coming in, the wind gets under and rips all the other clamps off and they all rocket away. So I'm in bed doing my old stone protocol. I've got a pair of shoes by the bed. I've got coats on the bed. You know, ready to just grab and put on and get out if I need to. Wasn't expecting rain, so you know it was just prepared for strong winds and the cool. Anyway, fall asleep at 4 o'clock in the morning and wake at 7:30, and I can see it's going to be a bright day. It's bright already. Sun's not really up, but you can see clear sky and it's going to be a sunny day, but it's cool. Bright but cool. I get the solar panel out, ready to get started as soon as we can, which isn't really. Most days it's somewhere between 9:30 and 10 before the sun is through above the trees enough and around enough and shining strongly enough on the panels to actually do anything. Some mornings it's like 13, 14, 15 watts shining on the from the solar panel. Not enough for the EcoFlow to kick in. Needs about somewhere 15, 16 watts it'll begin. Has to be 15 watts clear. If you're charging something, the first few watts go to whatever you're charging, and so it runs off the net. Whatever's left, what's coming in minus what's going out has to equal 15 or more, otherwise it doesn't charge. But anyway, I start charging my AA and AAA batteries for my head torch and for my fairy light and whatever else needs taking care of. The forecast was for moderate winds still, showing 35 kilometers an hour as the average at times, and obviously 50 and above in the gusts. So still a worry. And the forecast includes some rain, which is always a worry. Because, there we go. As I've mentioned before, the forecast can say something like 2 millimeters of rain, which is neither here nor there over the course of 24 hours. But then once it starts raining, they can update the forecast to 20 millimeters, which is a noticeable amount. Almost an inch of rain, 2 centimeters. That's a noticeable amount when you're in a broken tent with holes in the roof and everywhere. So yeah, a little bit of a worry suddenly. But it's sunny still. I can't see, the forecast is mentioning these things, but it doesn't look likely that we'll have rain. How are you going to have rain with a clear blue sky? So we're late out with the dog walk, 10 o'clock, and then I sit down and have cups of coffee and some chip butties for breakfast. For anyone in America who's not aware of the phenomena, chip butties, that's fries, French fries, in bread, in a sandwich. I was watching a chef yesterday make chips, and he just happened to throw some into bread, and the Americans in the comment section were just wild. They'd never seen anything like it. They didn't know what a chip butty was. Try it, folks. Sometimes your carbs need more carbs. It's just how it is. So anyway, I had chip butties as a late breakfast. 11 o'clock. It's been lovely and sunny. The EcoFlow is taking good charge. The wind pitches up. The wind comes in first. We're up from 75 up to 95% charged, so we're happy enough as it is. But the wind comes in, strong wind, and then a little while later, the clouds roll over and it's overcast and dark. Then it starts to rain. 11:45 it starts raining, and the forecast is totally wrong. The rains arrived 3 hours before they said, and the winds changed direction. The forecast's got the fucking wind direction wrong, and the rain arrives 3 hours early. How can they be so wrong all the fucking time? I'd only been looking at the forecast first thing in the morning. I don't know. So anyway, as the wind picks up and just before it starts to rain, I go around the tent and I undo the clamps and I pull the tarpaulin tight and re-clamp. Just check I didn't miss any chat. So yeah, I pull it all tight, because if it's loose the wind gets under and it just makes it more awkward. So I go around and tighten it all up, and we're all tucked and inside before it properly starts raining. So yeah. Now 1:15, the sun kind of starts to break through a little bit, and then it comes out a bit stronger. By 1:30 we're on 100% on the EcoFlow, fully charged. We've got all the electric we need. I've got the phone charging away. I've got the batteries all, the AA and AAAs for the lights are all up and running. We're sitting pretty, and the forecast is for it to go dark and stay dark, but it doesn't really kind of happen that way. But the wind stays strong the rest of the day. And as I said, the app that Jack Attacks pointed me to, that shows the gusts, the speed or strength of the gusts, I found that quite frightening. I've spent all this time looking at weather forecasts for 15 kilometers, 20 kilometers, maybe 30 kilometers an hour as like the average wind speed. But when you then start seeing numbers like 50, 55, 60 as the gusts, but I had to just tell myself logically, it must have been doing that all along. All these other times I've been seeing 25 and 30 and 35 kilometer average wind speeds. I've been living through the stronger gusts without even knowing it, because I didn't have the numbers in front of me. I had to kind of rationalize it and calm myself down a little bit. So where are we? We're into the afternoon, yeah. But it's eye-opening but frightening. A little bit frightening and eye-opening, seeing the speed of the gusts. Into the evening or night, and the tent starts making these most frightening creaking noises. I think it would have been the poles, and this happened shortly before my previous tent ended its end of life, cracking and creaking, and at that point I heard one almighty snap with the old tent, not this one. And if you remember, when we came to empty the tent and take everything down, it was when I dismantled my bed that the whole tent just collapsed. The bed that I'd constructed is all that had been holding that tent up. So when I start hearing these really nasty sounding creaking noises coming from the carbon fibre poles, I got a little bit... I was nervous that night. I was nervous all through that night. So it's making these noises, and the forecast's telling me that the wind's not going to settle down until 6 a.m. It's going to be, frighteningly windy until almost daylight the next morning. So into the proper night time, and again awake until 4 a.m. Just being on guard because of the weather, because of the wind. If the roof does blow off, I have to react quickly before I don't want the tarp kind of being 2 miles down the road before I'm aware of it. I have to get up and out and secure it before it's actually blown away and get it tied back down. I do actually now have some cable ties, and I found the other week some extra tent pegs, and I think I've got some rope or lines still somewhere. So I could have a go at securing it more, fastening it more securely, so that it can't blow away even if these clamps do come unclipped. I will have a look at that one day when I find time, folks. All I've got is time, but time and inclination. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood for some of these days. Sometimes I just want to curl up in bed, or if it's sunny, just sit in a chair and just relax and do nothing. Sounds silly, I know. You see, if I've got an opportunity to make things better for myself, I should take the time to do it. But moods are a funny thing. See, I get a lot of you guys tell me how positive I am, and I guess once I'm on camera, there's a little bit of a showman in me. It turns out I didn't know it. A little bit of hair there. Look. I didn't know it, but it turns out there's a bit of a showman in me, and I put on a brave face for you. And you're all telling me how positive I am and how amazing I am. I'm not. I have my ups and downs like anybody else, and some days I'm just not in the mood for shit, and so I don't do shit. And sometimes it's not just days, sometimes it can be weeks. Right, let me find out. I've lost my place in my notes. So yeah, we're on Wednesday, aren't we? Here we go. So yeah, I fall asleep at 4 o'clock, get up, do the solar panel thing, first light, but instead of going off and doing the dog walk and making the coffee and all the rest of it, it's back into bed. I put the panel out before it's properly light, just before the sun's properly up, and I just crawl back into my sack and cuddle my dog, and there we stay for a little while. The EcoFlow's on 80% first thing in the morning, so I've not used too much overnight, so that's a good thing. But it's overcast, and the forecast says it's going to be dull all day. So we're on just under 80%, and we're going to get through a full day, charging phones, tablets, batteries, everything, and then through a night where obviously there's not going to be any solar power coming in. And then we've got to hope that the day after is sunny, so that because we'll be almost out of power at that point, or that's the worry anyway. Anyway, I decide not to bother charging the batteries, the AA and AAA. I decide to forego that. The things that they can power for 2, sometimes 3 days. And if I think I'm going to run out of power on the EcoFlow, if the main energy store might run low, and things are charged enough to get by, it makes sense to leave the power in the battery where it might be more use later. things that'll get me through the night, keep me entertained, you know, or if I need to charge you know, double A's or triple A's later, I can do it later, can't I? Just get the power into the, or keep the power in the EcoFlow as much as I can. So yeah, saving the power. But and eventually, 10 in the morning, I have to get out of bed, walk Tina, and I make my 3 cups of coffee. 12 o'clock, we sit outside for a little while. It's dull and overcast, but not bad, you know. So anyway, 12 o'clock, the sun starts to kind of poke its nose through the clouds. And after a little while, I notice on the EcoFlow, or on the app, that there's an app on the phone, I can tell what the without, how lazy is this for a tramp? The EcoFlow's inside the door here. I could walk from my chair over there, poke my head in and look at the display to see what's happening. Bluetooth on the phone and connect and just see what's happening. I think that we're starting to get a little bit of sun. So I have a look and we're getting 30, 40, sometimes 50 watts of power coming in at any moment. And then the sun gets a little bit brighter. And we get the EcoFlow more or less topped up. But then, 2:30, the sun goes in and that's it. As the forecast had said, that's it, gone for the rest of the day. I mean, the forecast had hinted that there wouldn't be any sun. So we were lucky to get what we got and to get topped up from kind of that 80 back up more or less to full. So we wake up, no we don't, we're only in the afternoon, aren't we? We're on 97% when the sun, when the night time, you know, mid-afternoon, we're on 97%, near enough 100% to not worry about. So no worries about power that night, no problem at all. So I start watching my videos, just killing time. It's dull and overcast. We come in and I just finish The Mentalist, like finish the entire series, which was, I didn't realise it was only 7 seasons. I thought there was like 8 or 9, maybe 10. I must have been thinking of Castle. But anyway, I finished The Mentalist and I had that momentary kind of panic attack. I finished watching Lie to Me and I finished watching Mentalist, the 2 programs I've been watching for the last 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks. So now I've got like what am I going to watch now? What's next? I resolved that emotional crisis fairly quickly. I settled on Elementary, the Sherlock Holmes modernization, the modern adaptation with Johnny Lee Miller and Lucy Liu. It's quite a good program. I've always liked it. So that's what I've settled on. That's what I started downloading. Don't tell anybody. It's not like I'm paying for this shit. Oh, so here we are. We're at Wednesday late afternoon into the evening, aren't we? Okay, this was fun. My phone's full, so I'm wanting to start downloading a new program, and I you know, obviously I'll need some gigabytes of disk space or you know, memory, however you want to word the storage on a phone nowadays. I got a few pen drives. And I'd recently deleted a load of videos and things off there, decided I didn't need to keep them. So I had some spare space on them. So I plug in a pen drive, an external drive, onto an OTG adapter, on-the-go adapter, and start transferring gigabytes of TV programs that I've finished watching off of my phone and onto the pen drives. And all right, Donegal Overlanding says, the best TV series you ever seen, The Wire. Every character is important, nobody is disposable, no over dramatization, no extra series to cash in. I never tried it. I remember when it was on, when it was a thing and everyone was talking about it. I'm not sure it was my. It's more gritty, isn't it? It's more not spy, but there's just a lot going on in the background. I don't know. I'm not sure how episodic it is. I prefer things that are kind of episodic rather than one long story arc. And I got the idea, rightly or wrongly, I don't know. Like I said, I never watched it. I got the impression it was a longer story arc. Yeah, drugs in Baltimore, yeah. And I think it was around the same time The Sopranos was on. And maybe I was just drugged out. I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and try that one day. At the minute, it's elementary though. I watched recently. Let me just recap some of the things I've watched recently. I think I started with Babylon 5. I watched the entire run. I love me some sci-fi. And as I've mentioned previously, I like these smartest man in the room things. Your Sherlock Holmes' House, the Doctor, House MD, The Mentalist. I love all this. I haven't watched House recently. That might be on the agenda soon. I rewatched it a few years ago, probably while COVID was a thing, which is now 5 years ago, folks. Can you believe it? Whoa, disconnected, reconnected. I was just saying, COVID was 5 years ago. I think that's when I last watched House all the way through. Probably watched Babylon 5 all the way through back then as well. And maybe Elementary as well. I'm just going to go back through all these. I guess they're like a comfort viewing for me. I've got the programs that I know and like, and every few years I run back through them. Voyager, Star Trek Next Generation, and then Voyager. I haven't rewatched Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I haven't rewatched that in a long time. So maybe that's something I'll try in future as well. But anyway, let me go back. Where was I? So yeah, I'm freeing up disk space or storage space on the phone, however you want to word that. I realise technically it's not a disk. There's no spinning platters. It's not circular. It's all solid state with NAND or whatever it is nowadays, NAND RAM. But anyway, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, storage space, I'm freeing it up. And this is where I hit a hurdle. I'm moving 16 gigabytes, which isn't a huge amount, and should move fairly, it'll take a little while. I would expect 15 minutes, maybe half an hour, because my pen drives are old and probably slow. 2 fucking hours. 2, count them. 1, 2. 2 hours to move 16 gigabytes off my phone and onto a pen drive. What the fuck? Now, in fairness to the pen drive, it was one of my originals from back in the day. It's really old, and it's been in 2 floods. It's literally been submerged in swamp water for an extended period twice. So the fact that it works at all is actually something of a minor miracle. But I was waiting for this to finish, and of course, while I've got the OTG adapter and the pen drive plugged into the phone, I can't charge the phone. And it's Wednesday, and Wednesday night is Scruff Dog. He does a Lego stream, which I like to hang out in and hang out in the chat, and it's getting closer and closer to Scruff Dog time, and my phone's like down on 10 or 15% charge. And I need to stop, I'm waiting for this data transfer to finish so I can unplug things and charge the bloody phone. And in the end, I don't have any time. He's on. And I could open the hotspot on the phone. So I could plug the phone into the EcoFlow to charge, open the hotspot and use my tablet to watch. But my tablet doesn't do the chat. So I can only lurk, I can only watch and stay silent in the background, which is no good for what, I like hanging out with these guys. So I have to unplug the EcoFlow, take it into the bedroom, so it's near enough to me that I can plug the phone in on a proper wire, on the USB-C to USB-C connection, and get a full 14 watt charge, rather than the USB-C to A, or USB-C to micro, which only gives me 2 or 3 watts, which doesn't charge the phone, it just maintains, and even then it loses over time. So yeah, I had to work around things, I had to move things around, but yeah, I enjoyed my Scruff Dog hangout with the guys. Jack Attack, if he's still here, probably not by now, but just make sure that I don't think I missed anybody else. No. So yeah, this was my Wednesday night, and he finishes, I can't remember, 1 o'clock maybe, on a 12:30 might have been on the half 12 or 1 o'clock he'd finish on the Lego stream. And it's a Tina dog walk after that, isn't it? Yeah. So that's Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Late start again. Awake too long watching TV programs or YouTube videos. Now this is where, now you haven't seen this yet, I haven't released it, and I don't know whether to release it. This was where I decided to cook a curry, and at the last minute I decided to add chorizo, and I was unsure whether I was going to go with a milk or cream, you know, a cream based curry or a tomato based. At the last minute I decided on chorizo, and at the last minute I decided to film it, potentially to release as one of my cooking with a tramp cookery videos, which I haven't done in ages. I don't remember the last thing I cooked and released as a video. So I prepped all my veg and kind of made a start. I made my coffee, sat there with my 3 cups of coffee, which is an ancient tradition on this channel. I think in my very first video, before I made the chicken stew with no chicken flavoured stew, in that video that we talked about earlier, hello world, the oncoming storm, let's make a stew, or let's make chicken stew. However it was I worded it, look back in chat, it was listed, Tim Timoney I think it was, listed the proper real name of it. But what was I saying? Making stews and stuff, yeah. So 3 coffees, yeah. Even in that first cookery video, my first video, I think the tradition then was to have three cups. One that was open, one that was partially insulated, and one that was more insulated. So that by the time you finish the open cup and it's going cold as you get to the bottom, the next cup's still good and warm. And then as you finish that, the next one's still warm. So I'm back doing that, and I did that again on the Thursday morning while prepping my veg, and a lot of my veg was left over from Christmas. So my carrots, parsnips, and a lot of them were quite black on the outside. Some of them were quite slimy. So I had to take the peeler and do a double peel, you know, go around once and then go a second time around to take the bad off the outside. And then get them all chopped up to equal sizes and prepped. So, and I wanted to caramelize my onions, so the onions had to go in first. Now, Chef Jean-Pierre, who's a chef, an online chef that I follow, his rule is you always start with the onions. But if you're doing bacon or a similar meat, that goes in first so that you can get the fat and the flavors, and then do your onions, cook your onions in that fat. But because I wanted to caramelize my onions, I figured the chorizo would be overcooked. I mean, it's already cured or cooked, whatever chorizo is. It's already ready to eat as it is. It doesn't need cooking. So any cooking could be said to be overcooking. But I didn't want to have it in the pan for like half an hour while I caramelized the onions fully. So I broke Chef Jean-Pierre's rule. His rule is always onion number first, except when you're cooking bacon. So I broke his rule, which wasn't a good start. And things go from bad to worse. It turns out, folks, this is why I'm in 2 minds whether to release this video or not. Curry and chorizo don't necessarily go well together. Because chorizo's got such a strong flavour of its own. Yeah, I'm a little bit unsure whether to kind of recommend it or whether to put a video out there of even doing it. Wasn't bad. It was hot. It was filling. I got chickpeas and white beans as well as the onions, carrots, parsnips, and a little bit of garlic and whatever else. I got all the spices and everything. I did the onion first. I put the chorizo in, and it turned the onions kind of red, because obviously chorizo's quite lots of paprika. I think I mentioned in the video, if I ever do release it, historically chorizo was made from whatever meat they had around or whatever animal was around. and that could include horse or donkey, possibly even dog. I've seen some hints at, some suspicion of. I'm talking historically, hundreds of years ago. But they throw in lots of paprika to flavour it and colour it. And so my question of whether the curry was going to be cream based or tomato based was kind of made up by the redness of the onions and chorizo after I'd finished frying them off together. So we went with tomato, and but as I said, it tasted quite curryish. But then when you get a lump of chorizo in your mouth and it's chorizo flavoured, it's just different. So I still haven't released it. I may be looking for some advice, comments, either chat or comment afterwards after this is finished. If you watch this and you want to express an opinion, should I release that video anyway? Maybe with a disclaimer or something saying it doesn't necessarily work. Maybe swap chorizo for bacon or for chicken or for pork. Basically anything except chorizo would have been lovely. I still spent 3 days eating this. Once you've made a cauldron full, what can you do, folks? You gotta roll with it once you've got a cauldron full of food and you're a tramp. But yeah, so that's where by the time I'd finished making the curry, not the rice but the curry, I kind of wasn't hungry. Maybe I'd been dipping into it too much. Maybe I'd drunk too much coffee. I just wasn't hungry anymore. So I left it. And that afternoon, this is when my friend Tom rang. And he said, I've just made some food. I've got some spare meals here. I'll bring them to you. And I'm like, oh mate, I've just cooked. I've got 3 days worth of curry sat in a cauldron, sat in a big pan. Thank you, but you can probably make more use of it yourself than I can. Because if I was to eat those, mine would go to waste. If I eat mine, the stuff he brought me would go to waste. So he was all right. He's all right about it. He said he'd come down the next day instead, and we'll have a chat and a beer. So a little bit later, I went out and cooked my rice, made a pan full of rice, and heated up the curry and made myself a bowl. So I had a bowl right then, and I had a bowl later again, a second bowl. When I say a bowl, I don't know if you've ever watched my cookery. I eat from a pan more often than not. I've got plates, although I broke a couple the other week, or the wind did. Yeah. Long story, you'd have to watch a couple of weeks ago's TrampCast. Basically, I put all my pots, pans, cooking implements, all the cutlery, mugs, in a plastic box, and I put the plastic box on top of this veg rack, this veg trolley that I've got over here. And then we had a really windy night. The wall of the tent bows right in, pushes the box off the top of the veg trolley. Everything that was pottery, everything that was ceramic inside that box broke. What can you do? So going right way back, I used to cook these meals 3 days, sometimes 4 days worth, in a large pan, and then ladle it into a smaller pan, and just use the small pan as my. A pan is just a bowl with a handle. When you're eating in a field, especially when you haven't got a table to sit down at, being able to hold something with one hand and just shovel it in with the other hand makes sense. So that's what I've done to a large degree while I've been living here in this field. So yeah, when I say a bowl of food, I mean a pan, a small pan of food. But I filmed all the stages, and I gave my opinion of the food after I'd finished. And historically, traditionally, we finish by putting the pan down on the floor with a little bit of food still in it, and Tina finishes it off. And we see whether it gets her seal of approval. Everything always gets Tina's seal of approval, except for bananas. She won't eat bananas. But every meal I've cooked ever, she will eat. Anyway, yeah, where are we now? We're on Thursday night, aren't we? I've just made my curry. Yeah. Now this for some reason I didn't charge my batteries this day at all, and I think it's because I've been struggling with my cables, my USB-C cables, or USB-A to USB-C cables in particular. I had two, and they're not that old. Karen and family brought them to me, I think the last time they were over, so it's only a month or two. 2 months, say. And they're only 2 months old. And one of them, a guy bought me a beard trimmer, hair trimmer, beard trimmer. A second one I've got. And that one charges USB-A to C. So I had a new cable. Only discovered this cable 2 weeks ago. It's already playing up on me. You know when they start getting a janky connection, and you have to start bending them and twisting them and contorting them into a certain shape to get the connection to work properly. I got two of my 3 cables that I rely on heavily. 2 of the 3 are playing funny buggers already. You just can't get the fucking quality of cable anymore. I remember when you used to buy cables and they'd be good for a couple of years at least. 2 weeks and fucked. And I haven't abused it. It's not like I've been stretching it or bending it or standing on it, or, you know, I know I'm living in a tent. I've got one extension cable goes from the EcoFlow into the bedroom, and then I plug things in variously on the end of that. Or with the batteries, I just plug them directly into the 2 USB-A slots on the EcoFlow, and I've got one of those cigarette adapters, goes into the 12-volt port that gives you 2 extra USB-A ports, and there's a proper USB-C port built into the EcoFlow River 2. EcoFlow River 2. I haven't abused these cables. I've done nothing wrong with them. I haven't been sleeping on them, standing on them, pulling on them. They're all going janky. One of them's 2 weeks of use. One of them's 2 months. Well, the other one's 2 months as well, but there's only one of those 2 that's going bad. It's ridiculous. You want more usage than that out of your USB cables, especially when you're relying on them. I use those to daily recharge the batteries that power my head torch and my lights. Cables are crap. Yeah. Especially from the Chinese bazaar over here. You don't have this in the UK. In Spain, all of your Poundland, pound shop type things, they're all run by the Chinese. At some point in history, some kind of tax deal or something was done between Spain and China that gave them some kind of tax allowance or tax incentive to open these little bazaars. So all your crappy Chinese stuff that you would buy in Poundland, and that they would quality control to make sure that they weren't serving up too much shit, here you've got the same but without the quality control. They just load up their shelves with shit, and if it breaks on you the same day, you try getting a fucking refund out of them. I watched, I think I've said this one before, a lady bought one of those bodyboards, you know, those kind of half-length surfboard things that kids love. And it's basically like a fiberglassy polystyrene thing with a plastic outer shell. Kid takes it to the beach, goes into the sea, snaps in half, almost the first go. So they bring it back to the shop and have a 20-minute stand-up argument to try and get a refund. Hello, Terence. No problem being late, my friend. These guys have been asking lots of questions, keeping me talking, and I'm really, really behind, look. We'll soon be coming up on 2.5 hours, and I'm only halfway through the fucking week. Let me get on with it, guys. Let me finish my coffee first. We don't have a beer sponsor this week, so it's coffee. If anybody wants to sponsor next week's beer, send us a PayPal donation, and in the notes, label it beer sponsorship, and I'll give you a special shout out come the TrampCast next week. Cheers. Remember what I said about keeping this up and it just comes out the... You've got the little sippy cup bit, but when you're at this point where you have to tip it right up, it comes out of the edge of the lid. So take the sippy cup lid off and just finish it. Oh, sorry for the slurp, guys. Most uncouth. You can't take me anywhere. Anyone would think I was a fucking tramp. Oh wow, the handle on that cup is cold. Quick test, I just want to see how warm this is still. I had a beard trim the other day, the beard and moustache. But I struggle with the bottom edge of the tash. I got a few bits sticking out and occasionally one of them will fall out and end up in my gob. Okay, I made this 3 hours ago and it's still warm. Not hot, but good and warm. I love this cup. I have just had a message that I'm down to 15% battery on my phone. Do you remember when I did this the other week, folks? Were you here? When I plugged into the EcoFlow and I used the wrong wire. I plugged into a USB A to C. The phone's USB-C. But I plugged into one of the low power charging lines, which carried on running down. While it's doing this heavy recording and screen brightness and transmitting to the internet, it uses way more power than the USB A to C cable will give me. So I have to be careful right now. I'm going to go and get the EcoFlow and charge and oh fuck, that didn't go right. I got to be careful and try and get the get the proper USB C to C cable. Hey Tina girl, make sure I don't stand on you. Need to unplug this and bring it this way a little bit, sweetheart. Bring it this way a little bit. Oh, we'll take that out. We don't need that right now. We need this one. I need this one. Put that here. Doesn't reach, hold on. How are we going to do it? Oh. What did I do last time? Oh, how about I put that there? Will that work? Oh, that works. Okay. I surprise myself with my ingenuity sometimes, guys. Oh! I surprise myself with my ingenuity. Okay, let's have a look. Charging, and over here, let me just check what rate it's charging. Double check that 14 watts out. Yeah, okay. The phone is on a proper full charge. Like I said, I don't want to be sitting here and have it kicked off. It turned off last time. I've lost my pen. Where's my pen at? Okay, I don't need it. I'll survive. Find it tomorrow. Okay. Where was I? Okay, Tom phone. Yeah, okay, didn't charge any battery. Okay, that now. So then, okay, I'd had a bowl of curry, hadn't I? A pan of curry in the late afternoon or early evening, and late at night I made a coffee and had more curry, and got into a nice warm toasty bed. So into Friday. Yeah, one of these days was weird. I think it was Friday. So I got up a bit late and I woke Tina. I put the solar panel out. I go, I take Tina for a little walk, come back, and there's a newspaper outside the tent. So someone's big. I don't know whether they came while I was in, because I said I got up late. I don't know if someone came. I know who. It's Colleen. She came and dropped off one of these English language newspapers. She knows I like to do the puzzle page, the Sudoku. There's a Sudoku, there's a quiz, there's about 3 crosswords, 2 Sudokus, an easy, a medium one and a hard one. There's a quiz and also, you know, I just think there's a little crossword and a big crossword, all sorts. So she started bringing me one of those every now and again. But to just suddenly like go out, I'm only walking Tina like 20 yards away, 20 meters away. So to come back and find a paper and nobody here was a little bit disconcerting. And I don't know whether she came while I was walking Tina or whether she'd come while I was in bed and I just totally missed her. And you would have thought that the dog would have let me know if that's the case. I just don't know. But anyway, late start to the morning and a mystery newspaper appears. um, I make my 3 coffees, and the remaining rice, I'd cooked a big pan of rice the night before to go with a big pan of curry, and I'd only plated up. I'd had a couple, hadn't I, the night before, but I'd brought the pan of rice inside. It hasn't got a proper lid, so I didn't want to leave it out. So I brought it in and put things on top, a chopping board over the top and stuff. But I took it out, and I scooped all the rice into the curry, because now there's room in the pan. Mixed it all up, warmed it up, and had curry for breakfast, along with my 3 cups of coffee. Now, the EcoFlow, when we wake up, the EcoFlow is on 70%, and yeah, this day the prediction is no sun, and I haven't charged any of my batteries, my AA's and AAA's that power my lights and my head torch. I haven't powered anything for a couple of days. I haven't charged anything. So a day with no sun would be a bit of a nightmare. 70% charge on the EcoFlow would be enough to get me through that day and that night, just about. But then you're gambling on whether Saturday will be sunny or not. So that was a bit of a worry at this point, with the forecast saying dull and overcast, and it actually was, dull at that point. So there's this question in my mind: have we got enough power? Will we manage? How are we going to do? And then, get this, starts raining. 11:30 in the morning, dull overcast, and now it's raining. And at 12:30 it's still raining. Now, initially I thought, oh, it's just a little shower. When it's just spitting, I don't even close the door. The problem with that is, so the tent's an arch, yeah, it's a tunnel. If you imagine it from end to end, it's carbon fiber rods bent over. So it's like a polytunnel, basically, but with a shaped end. Well, that means that the door, which starts, 1.5 meters, whatever, off the ground, that wall bows out still. Well, if you don't close it properly, it just hangs straight in, and it's actually the bottom of the door will be inside the tent. And if rainwater is running down it, it's just going to drip inside the door, and that's where my EcoFlow is. So I have the sudden realization that I'm a plonker. It hits me every now and again, but yeah, I suddenly realize that I need to come and close the door properly. The tarpaulin takes most of it away, but the tarp over the top gets most of it. But the door not being fastened, and then that slit from ceiling to floor right next to it is an issue as well. So I put a towel down and I close the door properly and wipe off the top of the EcoFlow. It's designed to be showerproof, but it's not waterproof, you know what I mean? It's resistant, but not. It's got fan holes, ventilation. It's converting DC to AC, and there's heating involved. So yeah, I realise I'm a plonker and properly close the door. Now a little bit later, it gets a little bit brighter and the sun starts to break through, and then it gets quite bright, but it's still raining. So we've got this weird thing where it's like a sun shower. It started dark as a proper shower, but the clouds are kind of blowing over. The sun comes out over there and it's glaring away. The solar panels giving 50, 60, 70 watts, and yet we're still being rained on with dark clouds directly overhead. It's quite an eerie feel to it. But for a day where I thought we weren't going to get any power, to suddenly find that instead of being on 70 and dropping, we're on 70 and climbing, 70% and climbing on the battery, on the EcoFlow. So that was good. A short while later, Tom came around, the guy who'd called the day before, and he as well as good company, we sit down and we chat for an hour and a half or so, sometimes 2 hours. He's come a little earlier than normal, and he's brought a litre of beer, and we split the bottle between us, so we have basically a pint each. more or less, and sit and chat. But he also brought, you won't be able to see them in this light now, will you? He also brought some odds and ends that someone's left in his apartment at some point. So there's a carton of tomato frito, there's flour, sugar, rice, there's a box of breadcrumbs for you know, for when you lay some food in egg and flour and egg and then breadcrumbs and then fry it for breading your fish or whatever. And there's another one that's breadcrumbs and maize, these bigger kind of, I don't know what to call them, husks, these bigger crumbs, I don't know what you'd say, for doing that kind of. And he also brought me one of these meals, it's a bag, it's got pasta and the flavourings in. You put it in a pan of hot water and you know, like a ready-made meal, an instant meal, to go with a few others that I've already got. So that was nice. And we sat down and had a good chat, because I like Tom. He's a good bloke. He reminded me the other week that he first came to me after seeing that video where the police came around and stole all my belongings. And for anyone new here, I do use the word stole. The only time I have had anything stolen from me in Spain was when the police pulled up and they took away everything that was outside the tent under the pretense that it was a fire risk. Plastic garden furniture, bottles of water, flasks. I had a flask, vacuum flask. I had one vacuum flask and 2 single-walled metal bottles. Took them away, fire risk. Gas barbecue, a bit more arguable, but it's a metre off the ground. It's a proper barbecue. Where's the fire risk? Gas bottles, fire risk, because sunlight could make them explode, according to the police. Yeah, only if the sun can shine at 450 degrees Celsius. So yeah, I do rant about this every now and again. It does annoy me. But Tom saw this. I live streamed it when the guy was shaking the tent, and he unplugged all of the guy lines. He pulled all the tent pegs out of the ground and was shaking my tent, which was a new tent at the time, fairly new. Bastard. And the woman had threatened to shoot my dog. So yeah, I met Tom that day, and there's another bloke, I think he's called Gary, came around a day or two later. I haven't seen him again since. If you're out there, Gary, hello, my friend. Come on back. You're welcome anytime. I think he'd seen me get a shout out on Big Clive. Tina, quiet. It's just a car. It's just a car, darling. Oh, and another car coming in. One out and one in. It's okay, babe. Tina's okay. Tina's okay. Yeah. Okay, babe. Where are we? Let's crack on. We're at the end of Friday, aren't we? More or less. Tom came round, brought me food items, yeah, which are all great. They're still on the table here, yeah. I've got to sort out some space for them, or whether they're going to go on these shelves or in boxes. A lot of this would be attractive to mice, the breadcrumbs and the flour. And I don't think there's mashed potato here, is there? But some of this would be attractive to the mice, so I've got to be careful and get it put away as soon as. He says with it sat here 2-3 days later, whatever. Okay, after Tom left, so this was like 4:30, something like that. The EcoFlow was on 85 because I'd been charging things with it, so it had gone higher, and then I've run it down a little bit. And anything below 90, I will chase the sun. I will move the solar panel the other side of the field and face the evening sun. Take the EcoFlow over there and plug the panel into the EcoFlow and try and get as near to 100% by the end of the night as I can. So I did that Friday night. I saw someone say something there. Sorry, I distracted myself elsewhere. The police know now that I'm a survivor, not a victim. Well, there's something going on, isn't there? They haven't been back since April or May. So from having them come round every week or every second week to not having anything, and I know every time I say this, I'm risk jinxing it, but it's quite the turnaround from being here kind of weekly or fortnightly to just leaving me alone for 7, 8, 9 months, whatever we're looking at. Something weird. Anyway, guys, so I've got the EcoFlow as charged as possible. I'm charging my phone, tablets, and whatever as much as I can Friday night. Now, if you've been here a while, you'll know that Friday night for me always meant Friday Night Tights, which is a program on the Nerdrotic channel. Take the word erotic, drop the initial E, and stick the word nerd at the beginning. Nerdrotic. Used to love it. Now not so much. And I don't think the program's changed. I think it's me. I keep giving it a try. I keep trying for like an hour and a half or an hour. This week I got 45 minutes in and just binned it off. I figured I'd got other things I'd just rather be watching. They talk about their initial topic or two just too long, and I got other things I can switch to. There are other people that are live, or there are other YouTube videos, or there are the TV series that I've downloaded and that are sitting on my phone waiting to be watched. I just got other options that to me now feel better. They feel like the better option. So that's what I did. I mean, this thing doesn't start until, well, it's supposed to start at 10 o'clock at Spanish time, 9 o'clock British. But it's usually between 15 and 30 minutes late getting started. And then, which I think is rude, you got an audience waiting and you're just not starting on time. And they've got like 16 or 18,000 people waiting, hanging on, to watch. You're robbing 18,000 people of 30 minutes of their life just to wait while nothing happens. And with that many people, chat's not even any fun because the messages just fly past so quick. There's no way you can see what's happening. If you're talking with someone, you can't see them. You don't see their response. And they don't see yours. So your conversation goes nowhere anyway. So anyway, I gave up on it and I switched and I was watching probably Elementary. Because that seems to be the current. I don't think I've downloaded anything else. Oh, I've got Rent-A-Ghost still to get through. If your mansion house needs haunting, just ring Rent-A-Ghost. We've got freaks and fools and geeks and ghouls at Rent-A-Ghost. The Brits will know it. If you're Brits and if you're British and of a certain age. Anybody else? Look it up. Rent-A-Ghost. I think it's all one word. Or there might be hyphens. Rent-A-Ghost. Go find it. Torrent it. Find it on the pirate, on the open seas, as people say these days. I don't think it's going to be on like a Netflix or anywhere proper. It's basically a kids TV program about a bunch of ghosts from the 1970s. Probably. Yeah, almost certainly. Maybe 77, 78. That's the other thing that I'm dipping into every now and again. But it's YouTube and Elementary are the main two sources of entertainment at the minute. If I see something on YouTube that reminds me of another TV program, then I'll go and download that as well, because I'm a tramp living in a field. What the fuck else am I going to do? Like I said, I read a newspaper the other day. I did the puzzles. I sat out and did the puzzles. I've got a couple of books lying around in here that I could go and dig out and sit and read. There was a time when I first got lights. See, the radio was first, and then I got some lights. I was reading a lot. I had an Eric Clapton autobiography, and I read a Rod Stewart autobiography and a Stephen Fry. Now, Stephen Fry's autobiography is currently in about 18 different books. I read one book out of the bunch because that's what I had. But I have got somewhere in here. There are a bunch of books. There's a what's he called? Who's the guy? I want to say Grisham. It's not Grisham. Is it Gresham? John Gresham? The law book, not law books, but you know what's the word I'm looking for? They're novels. They're not real. But the stories about legal things. And I think I've got a John le Carre spy book somewhere in here as well. So yeah, I do have books. I should maybe think about doing that now that the days are getting a little bit longer again and there's a little bit more light for longer. I don't like winter. The short days and long nights. Even though Spain's not as bad as the UK for it. But now the days are getting a bit longer. The sun's coming up earlier and setting a bit later. I could start reading books. Okay, folks, let's get this finished and get you out of here. So I was ranting about Friday Night Tights and watching Elementary, and then I fell asleep fairly early Friday night, maybe midnight-ish, and then I woke 3 o'clock in the morning and woke my doggy darling. 9 degrees out, and you could see your breath, which is becoming a regular thing at the minute. The nights are very damp. I think because the days are a little bit warmer, they absorb more moisture through the day. The air gets more moisture. When it gets cool at night, the dew point's actually quite high. You don't have to be down around 3 degrees to start seeing your breath. 9 and 10 degrees the last few nights. And that you actually feel colder out in that than when if it's 4 degrees out, but crisp, dry. Somehow the 10 degrees and 9 degrees in the damp feels colder on your skin and to your body. So anyway, I grabbed a can of not a pan, sorry, of cold curry, and just got into bed. I put the electric blanket on for 15 minutes. So this is Friday night into Saturday morning, and I did just put it on for 15 minutes on this occasion. But I'm in a tent with an electric blanket. How good is that? Huh? King of the Tramps or what? King of the Tramps. I am so lucky. You guys have been so generous and so helpful over the last couple of years. Totally incredible. Totally incredible. And it all started with 2 ladies, Anita and Tina, who bought me a phone. And from that I went online. Then I met a couple of blokes, Damien and Simon, who helped me, and we built from there. Doing the YouTube channel, getting help from people and people in person here at what I call the Tramp Camp. And then of course that phone packed in eventually, but through that, TrampCast 001, folks, is where I met Karen for the first time. And she came and cut my hair, I think the next day or the day after that. And she's been such a great help ever since. She wanted to buy me this tent, just outright, way back. I'd had a few donations from you guys. I had a little bit, but not enough to pay for a tent like this. But she wanted to just buy me the whole tent. And I insisted on putting your money towards and paid for half. But then she forced me to use that money to help me in other ways, and yeah, I had enough money left over to buy the EcoFlow. And then she pushed me for the solar panel and the cool box. Thank you, Karen and family. Okay, let me get back on with it. I keep distracting myself. But electric blankets, folks. I mentioned, I think in one of my Christmas specials, Christmas Eve. What did I do? Christmas Eve, Boxing Day, and New Year's Eve. I did some random live streams that were different to the normal format. And I think I mentioned I was considering getting an electric blanket to see me through February. The end of January and February, the coldest part of the year. And so because I've got the EcoFlow, I've got electricity with a proper plug, proper 220 volt supply, once it's fully charged. I'd floated the idea of paying for an electric blanket, but then Adam and Mel turned up. Was that last week or the week before? And last week, and they brought me an electric blanket and some jackets and some water and some food. Thank you, Adam and Mel. Okay, folks, so I had the electric blanket on for 15 minutes overnight. Saturday morning, I wake up and, I'm awake on and off most of the night, and I'm watching YouTube videos and elementary, as I say. So this is basically, this is yesterday. I wake up yesterday morning. And again, it's surprisingly windy. The forecast had said less than 10 kilometers, but I was being buffeted. And again, it's the gusts rather than the average that most weather apps give you. I notice when I look down, I'm off the screen again. Come on, the stand is bouncing back. There we go. That's a little bit better. Last week I was off the screen like that almost the entire program. Someone should have told me. Okay. So surprisingly windy, yeah. And it's early in the morning, like still night really. And I run out the tent and grab the last pan of curry for whether you want to call it late night or really early morning. I grab that and jump back into bed. 9 o'clock, I kind of think about getting up properly, and the EcoFlow's on 80%. It's a sunny morning, so there's going to be no worries about running out of power or anything. Got a mozzie landed on the. It's right next to the eggs for cancelling the stream. Fucking mosquitoes just sat right there. Little bastard. I'll leave him alone. I won't risk ending the stream prematurely, folks. But anyway, so Saturday morning, it's sunny, but still windy. And what have I written? Yeah, the forecast says less than 10 kilometers an hour, but no way. I'm still relying on the windshield that I've put around my stove so that I can make my coffee, which I'm running out of. So there's anybody in Torrevieja that can bring us a jar of coffee? Instant, just cheapo powdered Mercadona or whatever. I can't get to the shop, folks, because of Tina. And I've got sugar, but my coffee, I'm on the last couple of spoonfuls. I just thought I'd throw that out there, just in case. I have got friends arriving in country any time now that would probably be able to help me out soon. But I don't want to be waiting a week or whatever with no coffee. What would I do? What would I drink? You'll be pushing me towards beer. And then you'll all be calling me an alky. I got a bad enough reputation as it is. Okay. Oh, I do have. Somewhere buried in these boxes, I've got bags of chocolate. Drinking chocolate. Powder. I can dig those out. Okay. Cancel that. I'm not begging for coffee. I can open up a bag of drinking chocolate. I've got powdered milk back there somewhere as well. It's like a TARDIS in here sometimes, guys. You put food away to protect it from mice and whatever. You put it into a plastic box, but then of course you're going to put another box on top of that box, and then you're going to put something on top of that box, and then you don't want to go in there because it's too much trouble to move everything around. And then suddenly 3 months later, you remember that you've got shit. You don't know where it is. You know it's in that room there somewhere of the tent, like the spare bedroom, as it were. Don't know. It's an 8-man tent. Technically, it's a 4-bedroom tent. But the bedrooms would literally, if you put a double mattress on the floor, there's no space around it. So you could do 2 of those right next to each other, but people in different rooms with just fabric between them would be, you'd be feeling the presence of the bloke in the next, or the woman in the next bedroom. I'm not sure who would pack 8 people into a tent this size. But that's always been the way with tents, hasn't it? They've always overreached on the man size, the capacity, the number of people you can safely sleep in them. You buy a 1-man tent and they label it as a 3-man tent. Or put the other way around, you buy a 3-man tent and it's just big enough for you. and a couple of belongings. A pair of shoes next to your bed and a rucksack maybe. Okay, let's get back on with this. So yeah, I have my last pan of curry. I get up, it's sunny. I put the solar out at 9:15, which is a lot. That's too. The sun's not going to do anything at that. Half an hour later, it might start picking up 14, 15, 16 watts of power. But the forecast says it's going to be sunny until middle of the afternoon, maybe 2 o'clock. But then the forecast suddenly says that tonight's going to have rain. Saturday night's going to have rain. That's come out of nowhere. Bearing in mind, I've been looking at the forecast, which is a 10-day forecast. I've been looking at it every day all week, and suddenly out of nowhere, oh, by the way, rain tonight. They tell you at 9 in the morning or 10 in the morning. What do? And it's going to be cold, they say. And in fact, the whole next week, we're looking at nights again at 6 degrees and below every night for the next 6 to 10 days. Now at 4 degrees, I feel it. This is when I would have been using my hot water bottles previously, and still may. But I can supplement those with the electric blanket if I've got enough power in the EcoFlow during the night, and if I'm confident the sun's going to be out the next day, then I can do that. If I'm not confident, if the weather forecast is that it's going to be cloudy or overcast or rainy all day, I'll just warm up the hot water bottles and leave the electric blanket alone. Managing power, as I said, that's why I called this episode Power Struggle. Just that wangling and wrangling power all the time, trying to make the power last. We'll get to it in a minute. If you were here at the beginning, you've already heard this part, but we'll get there shortly. So yeah, the forecast is for it to be sunny until 2 o'clock with rain and whatever coming later. Now, I sit outside and I'm drinking my coffee and doing whatever, and suddenly, doing the crossword and whatever, the Sudoku. Sudoku? How do you say it? Is it Sudoku or Sudoku? Anyway, whatever it is. I come inside to check on the EcoFlow, and I look and it says overload. It's the first time ever I've had this error. And I think what it is the solar panel was either generating too high a voltage or just too much power in general than the EcoFlow river could handle. Because when it gets up to like 99 or 100%, it turns itself off anyway. So it wasn't that. It's not that there's power coming in and the battery's full. It must have been the amount of power coming in from that single 100 watt panel. I have seen that panel. It's a 100 watt panel nominally. I have seen it do 112 or 115 watts before. Now they market it as a 12 volt panel, but the open circuit voltage is actually 18, and I think that's too much for this particular EcoFlow. The EcoFlow River 2, the lowest model, the 250 watt hour battery. So it could be maybe the panel went open circuit somehow, or maybe it was just too much power coming in. I don't know. I don't fully understand. The thing was, I didn't know how to clear the error. I've never seen it before. I was looking on the back for like a reset button, as some of these things have, but there isn't one. So I just pressed and held the on-off button. Didn't do anything first time, so I was a little bit panicky. But then I tried again, and it worked fine. It just off and on and up and running, and started charging and taking in whatever the last couple of percentage it needed just to finish off, just to top up. So yeah, as I said, I sat out all afternoon doing the newspapers and got that error. But by it wasn't even the afternoon. That was the late morning. By 11:30 we were on 100% on the EcoFlow. So it started to got this kind of regret. The sun's still going to be on that panel outside here until 2:30, maybe 3 o'clock to a degree. So all that extra power that's just not getting used, it's just going to waste because my battery doesn't go that far. And even after that, I can move the panel the other side of the field and carry on. So what I did in summer was I used the slow cooker, which it takes it's a heavy power draw, but it can cook jacket potatoes or a stew or whatever just from the electricity without using gas and anything else. So I'm considering on the clear days now, when if I've already got enough power in the EcoFlow, you know, if I'm on 80% in the morning and I'm fully topped up by 11 o'clock, half 11, I might I might start with the slow cooker again and start making something, you know, soups or curries or stews or just jacket potatoes. Um, I got options. I hate to see that power going to waste. If there's 100 watts available and none of it's getting stored because the battery's full, then I should start using it if I've got the options. Um, I don't want to start cooking for the sake of it, although that's what I sound like when I hear myself saying this. But there we go. Anyway, so that's into the afternoon and the evening. You know, just I've got a full set of power. I'm watching. I'm sitting out chatting with people as they walk past, and I can come in and watch my videos or YouTube at will. I've got what I need. So that takes into Saturday night, which anyone who's been here a while will know. I watch a chap, an electronics. I say electrical engineer. Tina, what's the noise? I'd say he's an electrical engineer. He takes stuff apart and works out the circuitry and the how it works and corrects issues or works out why something's likely to break. He's got 1 million followers. Chap called Big Clive. His channel, Big Clive, and the word dot spelled out, com. BigClive.com, all one word. Is his channel on YouTube. And on YouTube, he's got over 1 million subscribers. But his live streams, when he does them, can get a bit raunchy and they got him into a little bit of trouble. And he thought his million subscriber channel, which is basically his livelihood, he thought that the live stream was putting that at risk. So he's taken his live streams away from YouTube and over onto Twitch. Same name, bigclive.com, but that's where you'll find him. And it's fun. It's a fun hangout. Gets a bit pervy in the conversation at times. The guy's gay, and the electronics he has taken apart, like vibrators and other sex toys, just to for educational purposes, to discover the electronics behind it. He does other stuff. He does normal stuff, but it's just a laugh over there. And that's where I know Jack Attack from, and another guy who comes in sometimes. Scruff Dog stops by every now and again. Well, Scruff Dog does a stream over on YouTube straight after Big Clive finishes, and I go over there and watch that. So that was my Saturday night, Big Clive and Scruff Dog. Except halfway through Scruff Dog, I had to take the doggy out for a walk. She decided that 1 o'clock in the morning or thereabouts, she decided that would be a good time to go for a walkies. I wanted her to wait another hour or so that Scruff would be finished. But no, she dragged me out then into the damp and the cold, as she does. So yeah, after that, again, it was cold out there and damp, and you could see your breath. It felt colder than it should. For 10 degrees shouldn't be cold. For me, in shorts and a t-shirt, I should be okay. I've been okay at 10 degrees for the past month. 6 degrees, 4 degrees, those I feel it a little bit. And put an extra jumper on or a shirt or a hot water bottle on the 4 degrees. But 10 degrees I should be fine. But I wasn't. I was cold. And I noticed it. Anyway, those finished and I went back to my YouTube vids in elementary, and I was awake until I don't know, 3, 4 o'clock. I don't know. And yeah, 4 o'clock, I think I was still awake. Look, yeah, this is the fun part, guys. This is the fun part. If you've been here from the beginning and you wanted more details on this one, I don't know. I don't know whether there's more details to be had. I spilled the beans early on in the where was it? Was it in the themes for the week when I was talking about managing power and stuff, maybe? So 4 o'clock Sunday morning, Saturday night into Sunday morning, 4 a.m. I decide that I've got enough power in the EcoFlow and it's gonna be a nice day. I've got power to spare. Hey, why not jump into bed and put the electric blanket on? Just for a quarter of an hour, just as a boost. I was warm enough, I would have been okay in bed, but just a boost. Let's just get that a little bit warmer and keep the bed insulated. Wrap the quilts under the electric blanket, form a pocket, get nice and warm, and after a quarter of an hour turn it off, because it's got a timer, but it goes 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. So 2 hours is the minimum that you can set that, and that would use all my power, or almost all my power. Didn't want to do that. So I climb in, I pick a temperature on it only has 3 temperature settings. They're not really labelled, you just pick 1, 2 or 3 for temperature. And I set it to the 2 hours for the timer. And my idea is I'm going to use the app on the phone and I'm going to turn the power socket off on the EcoFlow after 15 minutes. Obvious, yeah? Just use the app, press the button, the electric will be cut and the electric blanket will turn off without me having to get out and unplug it or do anything. I can stay nice and toasty warm. So off we go. I'm watching a video, I've turned the blanket on, I'm in, I'm tucked, I've created a pocket by wrapping the quilt under the blanket and under me, my feet and at my side. I'm going to be toasty warm in a quarter of an hour. It's going to be so warm you won't believe. So anyway, 2 hours later, I wake up, fucking wet through. I mean, wringing wet. I had to get out of bed at this point for something, but I look down at my shorts and it looks like I've wet myself. They're damp, they're wringing wet. All my clothes and me, wringing wet. I've fallen asleep in that first 15 minutes, not turned the electric blanket off, and I've sat there for the full 2 hours, sweating my bits off before I woke up and realised it. And the EcoFlow is down to 8%. My phone's down to 20%. My tablet's almost out of power. Have I got enough power to manage? This is like, what? I think somewhere between 3 and 4 I'd turn this on. And then, so you're looking at like somewhere between 5 and 6 I wake up and realise. And we've got to wait until nearly 10 for the sun to start making a proper impact on the solar panel. 9:45, 10 o'clock. Have I got enough power to survive? What am I going to run out? What will I do for 3 or 4 hours if everything runs out of power? This is how panicky I am just at the thought. I went 5 months with nothing, no lights, no entertainment, didn't know what time of day it was. I started learning from the position of the sun. I would look at where the sun was and then take a long walk by a pharmacy, and they've got a clock outside. So then I'd see what time it was and subtract the 20 minutes or 10 minutes of the walk where the sun was then. That's okay, that's midday, that's 1 o'clock. And I got to where I could just look up and tell within half an hour of what time it was. I've lost that skill now ever since I got a watch and a clock and everything else. But the idea, I was losing it back when I had that 5 months with no entertainment, with no lights, with nothing to read, with nothing to do at night. It goes dark at 5 o'clock and it doesn't get light until nearly 8 in winter. You've got what, 15 hours there? It's not quite that because it doesn't go dark at 5, but somewhere between 5 and 5:30 it'll start getting dark. It's a long time to spend not knowing what time it is and not able to like read a book or a newspaper or do anything. People had given me puzzle books, but without a light, you can only use them during the day. So the thought of being stuck for that, even for a few hours, it got me. I was worried. My own stupid fault, falling asleep with the electric blanket on. But what can you do, folks? What can you do? So I spent that next 4 or 5 hours, I was still watching YouTube videos. I had the phone plugged in on the extension cable in the bedroom and it was holding its own. It was staying at like 25% charge, the phone. And the EcoFlow dropped from 8 to 7 to 6. I think it got down to 5 and cut off. I'd set a total off at 5%. and I had to make it go again. I had to lower that threshold to 4 so it would click back on and keep my phone charged. But after a little while, you know, by 9 o'clock, it's daylight, the sun's coming up, it's behind the trees, but it's coming around. Solar panel out, and we get ready for Sunday morning. Yeah, so we're on 8%. Well, like I said, we're down to 4% on the EcoFlow by the time I've finished charging the phone or keeping the phone charged. But I get the panel out and we go. The forecast is for sun, and I'm hoping it's. I see it on the panel, but it's not enough. It's bringing in 13 watts and 14 watts. And it has to be 15 or more before the EcoFlow will start charging. So basically, it's almost 10 o'clock before it reaches that threshold and starts charging. But it quickly starts charging rapidly. We're quickly getting 60, 70, 80 watts, and within a quarter of an hour, we're pulling 90 and 100 watts at times. It's it was good to watch. Oh, and this is where our friend Colleen arrived, bringing Tina some dog food. Yeah. She came. She like I said, she came a day or two ago and put the newspaper, but this time she came with dog food, with the croquettes, the dry dog food, but also with some meat broken up in it. And there's enough for, I think, 3 or 4 days from that, and then there was some other dog food and some other treats. So that's nice. We like Auntie Colleen, don't we, Tina? Tina heard the car park up the road on the track, and she starts barking, getting agitated, and I'm like, no, it's probably not for us. Not every car that parks on this road is coming to see us. But she was so invigorated, she was so certain. Even though she's immobile mostly, you know, she's still trying to jump off the bed and get out the door. And so I said, okay, we'll take a look. I don't think it is, but we'll take a look. I point my head out the door, and Colleen's halfway down the path to come and see us. So that's nice. A little bit of company for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but and some food for Tina. So that's nice. Yeah, I'm watching the percentage rise up on the EcoFlow, basically from nothing up towards full. And at 12 o'clock I start writing these notes. It takes me about 2 hours to write these notes, because I'm transferring them from my phone to paper, researching the numbers. This is episode number 54, so facts about the number 54 or relating to the number 54. It takes a little bit of time basically to copy those from Wikipedia. Had nothing this week. I had to go and actually go on the internet properly, you know, other pages to find facts. I was most annoyed. Normally I just take a small fraction of what's already there on Wikipedia, but the number 54 had almost nothing. I had to go elsewhere and find like the international direct dialing stuff. I'm not sure whether Xenon was listed on there or not, but the other stuff about Julius Caesar in 54 BC and Emperor Claudius dying and being succeeded by Nero in 54 AD, not a mention on the Wikipedia page for 54. I had to do my own work this time. I'm not used to that. But yeah, I sat down and started writing these notes, and took a little break at 1 o'clock and celebrated the fact that that I was on 100% charge on the EcoFlow by 1 o'clock. So 3 hours from almost empty to full in winter. You can't say fairer than that, can you? I mean, that's tremendous. To anybody, and I said this last week, anybody who's in a place that's likely to be hit by storms, power cuts, whether they're likely or not, the damn things happen from time to time. We had basically a 4-day one in the UK, I think the year before I came out here. 4 days. Could have done. They actually turned the power on for half an hour halfway through the 3rd day, because if it went 3 days with no power, they had to pay you compensation. So they turned it on for a little while and then back off again. Well, the EcoFlow would have got me through the first 3 days, 2 days, 2.5, whatever. while it was on for half an hour, it would have recharged the EcoFlow and I would have got through the rest of the time. Folks, get one. It doesn't have to be EcoFlow. I recommend EcoFlow. I'm no sponsorship, no ties, no commission codes. I haven't got any links with them whatsoever. But Jackery, Bluetti, there are others, but EcoFlow is my favourite. Get the biggest battery one that you can afford or that you find reasonable given the probability of power cuts, storms, outages, blizzards, whatever you might face. Evaluate the likelihood. If you're in the UK, I'll tell you this. A lot of the nuclear power stations which provide the base charge for the country, a lot of them are offline having repairs at the minute, cracked concrete and stuff that might take months if not years to repair. That's the base load. That's the stuff that provides 30, 40, 50% of the country's requirements at night or whatever, when there's no solar and you might not have any wind. The UK has allowed its infrastructure to deteriorate to the extent that even the government say, be prepared. Power cuts are likely. Far more likely than they've been at any point since the late 70s, if you remember those days. EcoFlow. Keep one charged in the bottom of a cupboard. And then when you need it, you've got it. It'll charge your phones. It'll run a fridge. Get the biggest, most powerful one that you find to be reasonable. I bought the bottom end because I'm a tramp living in a field, spending other people's money, spending your donations. Just a reminder, there is a PayPal link if anybody does feel like they can spare a euro or five. Only if you've got it, only if you want to, no pressure, but it would be appreciated. But yeah, I do recommend EcoFlow, but any of those other brands would do. And there are other companies, Anker do them now as well. Anker that make the normal power banks also do these bigger power stations, as they're sometimes called. Solar power station. Highly recommended. But anyway, folks, that writing the notes and getting the EcoFlow fully charged, that fully charged by 1 o'clock and still sunny for hours and hours after, power going to waste. But that brings us up to date. I've done this TrampCast. That's you up to date with my last week, and I hope I've answered as many of your questions as I could in chat. Upcoming for the following week, I'll just mention briefly. I do have some friends arriving within a week or so. I got one friend who arrived yesterday. Haven't seen him yet, obviously. After travelling for a day, probably needs a few days rest. But I hope to see Mark soon. Karen is coming out shortly, and maybe I've still got Tom out here who stops by once, sometimes twice a week. So, as I've mentioned before, we're expecting cold nights all week. Hopefully not cloudy days. The snippets I've seen, the pictograms that summarise the weeks where they seem to show plenty of sun through the day. There was one day that had rain mentioned, but when I looked into it, it was like 0.2 of a millimetre there was like a 30% chance of 0.2 of a millimetre on Friday or something. And that became the pictogram for the night. It was rain. Ridiculous. The only other thing I've got ongoing is I'm still trying to kind of reorganise myself within the tent. I've only had a couple of twinges with my back this week. Anyone who didn't see, I ragged my back 2 or 3 weeks ago trying to step around the dog. She was waiting for her food and was in the way, and she can't move too easily. So I tried to kind of step around to the left of her with my right leg, and then I bent and twisted to try and put my foot on the ground, not standing on the dog and not standing on her dog bowl or her water. And somehow I bent and twisted awkwardly, and it went. And I was taking a painkiller a day for maybe a week after that. I've had a couple of twinges, but I've had to lay off doing anything too heavy. But this next week I want to get back on with digging out these boxes with pasta and rice and stuff in them. I want to get all my food together in one spot, whereas at the minute it's in different places, and some of it's been forgotten about like for months. Tins of tomatoes and tomato frito, cartons of tomato for making bologneses and things. I thought I had cream. It turns out I've got cartons of condensed milk. Is it condensed or evaporate? Hold on. Which is the one that's sweetened? They take a milk and they evaporate the water out of it. Is that evaporated milk, and condensed is when they then add sugar to it. Can't remember. Brits, carnation, basically. Well, I've got some. Basically, I thought I had cream for cooking, and it's not. It's one of those other things. I've got tins of fruit somewhere. I know I have. I just don't know where. Not a lot. You know, it's not like I've got a whole stack, but you know, 2 or 3, like a tin of pineapples and a tin of apricots or plums or something. So I need to get reorganized. I want to get all that sorted out. I may throw away some of the things that take up a lot of space but don't provide too much utility. This coffee table's huge, and it's got the telly on that I've just never used. Once in a, you know, you use the TV once properly and twice just to test, just to prove it works. The Christmas tree sat on it because I've got nowhere else to put it. But the table it's about 1.5 meters by 1.5 meters. It's fucking huge. That's about 2 square meters, isn't it? That's huge for a tent. And there's another chest of drawers here. There's a shelving unit there that's too unstable. So I'm going to sort those out, get rid of them. I've put a pedal bin outside ready to take to the bin because it's just not getting used. I've got a bin bag in my bedroom because I spend all my time in there. So I've just got a bin bag through there that I just put everything in. So I'm reorganizing. I'm trying to have a little bit of a clean out. Lots of people bring me lots of things, and an embarrassing amount of it just gets put into a bag and put in a corner just in case. I've got maybe 8 pairs of shoes, if you include trainers and sandals and flip-flops. I'm a tramp in a field. Why do I need 8 pairs of shoes? Some of them have not been worn now for nearly 2 years. There's a bright yellow, fuck off. When I first made homeless, I did a lot of walking and my shoes were falling apart. Within 2 weeks of being made homeless, my shoes were literally falling apart. And you walk past bins here and they used to have, someone would put their old trainers or their old shoes in the shoebox on top of the bins when the bins had a flat top. Now they don't. They deliberately made them a different shape so people can't do it, to dissuade people. But I found this set of trainers that were the right size, bright fuck off yellow, and I didn't like wearing them, but they were fairly solid, especially compared to the ones that I had that were literally falling apart. One day I used to have proper fires out here. I used to have a campfire type fire, you know, burning wood. Shh, don't tell anybody. One day a spark, an ember, jumped from the fire onto my shoe and burnt through the bright yellow. So the bright yellow shoes got this blackened, singed hole, and my foot had a little scar on top of it for a little while, just from this freaking ember. I've still got those shoes here now. Why? I literally have not worn them in 2 years. I've got a few pairs like that. I'm going to take the laces out of them and I'm going to throw them. I've just got to stop hoarding, keeping things just in case. And in some instances, when people bring me things that are impractical, I don't like to say no, because it's kind of it embarrasses them that their stuff's not even good enough for a tramp. And some people, I did say no early on, and some people found it quite offensive. They were offended that I was saying no to them. So I started just accepting everything, and then maybe throwing away things that were just obviously no use. But a lot of things you keep just in case. Maybe that'll come in handy one day. I've got so much of that piled up in so many places. It's now time to start taking it away. But between my bad back and my dog not being able to walk with me, but if I do walk up to the bin, she tries to follow behind me. The other day I went across to the shop, the Chinese bazaar, El Zoco. I went over there, and when I came back, Tina was on this road heading up to the main road. And if she tried to cross that main road, she'd be dead. Because her back legs would fall away, cars would be coming at her, and she just can't move out of the way quick enough. But I have to leave her alone for me to go there to the shop. I can't take her. I can't tie her up. But she has this separation anxiety, so she will try and follow after a few minutes anyway. It's all awkward. But all that is just to say, guys, that I got friends arriving in a week or so. I got a couple of friends here now. Cold nights all this next week, and work continues as and when my back allows for me to try and reorganize in here. With that, unless there are any questions, anybody in chat, because this thing doesn't always tell me when you've asked. The electric blanket also has a sleep mode. Can you drop us an email? Tell me how or when or why. I don't know the full ins and outs. There was no instructions, so I don't know how that... if you look at any of my videos, in the description, you'll find an email address. It's basically, it's deltamike.torrevieja@gmail.com. But if you just send us a hint on what I'm looking for with the settings, and oh, you see, look at that, I didn't see that. Look at this. Oh, there's messages I've missed. Oh, look, it didn't. Here we go. Where are we here? Jack Attack's telling me about okay, I'm with you. There's Ismo. I didn't see that one. Ismo's going to send me a message later. Okay, my friend, if you're still there. Jack Attack gave us broadcast dates for the original Rent-A-Ghost. I saw the original episode the first time it was broadcast. So I would have been about, what, 7 then? January 76. Yeah, I would have been 8 later in the year. Yeah, okay. It was on a long time, yeah. How many years is that? 18 years. Wow. Nadia Popov. Yeah, I remember her. Miss Claypole. She used to call me Mr. Claypole. She would call him Mr. Clodpole. My hair needs doing again, says my friend Karen. I guess that was when I said about having haircuts and things, was it? Yeah, my hair definitely needs doing again. I still haven't washed it. We're now on about month 15, unwashed hair. I'm washed, the hair isn't. As you can tell by, well, this is caused by me wearing the glasses, which sometimes I take off and put like that. A combination of the glasses and also the head torch all night. I have my glasses and head torch on all night. So my hair gets kind of pressed into a funny shape around the elastic band. That's my excuse. Yeah, Mark, I know that you came back yesterday, mate. I meant to send you a message wishing you safe travels. You got my McVitie's. Okay, mate. I'll see you soon. Yeah, okay. No rush though. You know, only when you're only when you're fit. Colleen came round earlier today. She said you were back. I knew you were travelling back. I knew it was yesterday. So see you soon, mate. Oh, Adam and Mel are threatening to bring me more useful things around. Is this things that you've got to hand, or don't go buying stuff? Anybody who wants to bring me something, it might be worthwhile contacting me through email or something first to double check. A chap brought me hair clippers, beard clippers a few weeks ago. Already got them. He brought me a solar powered light. Already got one. You know, this it's just a shame that the duplicated effort, I think you'd call it, the fact that someone's already invested the resources to get me something and then somebody else gets me the same thing or something so similar. It's oops. Yeah. So that was okay. I think that was that the mosquito, Karen? That was when the fly had landed on the screen? Don't know where it went. I didn't actually see it leave. I was distracted. Yeah, okay, Jackie Tech's got an idea there. I should set an alarm, yeah, for 15 minutes when I put the electric blanket on. Or I could set the EcoFlow to turn off. I think I can set the inverter to turn off after 15 minutes maybe. Or at a certain power level. If it drops in case I do fall asleep. But yeah, Adam and Mel are telling me that there is a sleep mode that maybe I can activate. I'll look forward to getting some details on that if you can, folks. There's V Hope. Kindle with a backlight so I can read books in the dark. Yeah, my old Kindle was a basic one that didn't even have that. The very first, yeah. Tent. Karen's trying to drop hints about a new tent. I don't know, overreach. And I've got two small ones, but yeah, a new one like this would be. Oh, not. I wouldn't go this big again. I would go the next size down, like the last one. If I was after a new tent. I've got fly. Anyone worrying about the mosquito? I've got fly spray in the bedroom. It's waiting to bite me later. Yeah, they usually do. I mean, I'll often, if I sleep on my arm, you know, like propped up, watching a video or whatever, I'll find a welt running down my arm where they've feasted for half an hour. By the time you see them, they've already eaten you, is the general rule. If you see a mosquito, it's already fed. We shall see. I mean, I've got my arms and legs out now, even though it's cold. I can feel it's cold out there. When I stand up and the blood moves from my legs, you know, I'll definitely feel the cold again. But I've got a jumper here I should have put on halfway through. I should have had a blanket over my legs, but I didn't put that on either. But anyway, okay, folks. Any more questions or comments while we wrap up? We're gonna do the traditional outro. I think that's the word. With Tina in a moment. I think we're all done. What I might do, folks, I might have a random stream midweek sometime. No, not covering the week's events or anything. Just a chat, just a drop in. Maybe Tuesday, maybe early Wednesday evening. I don't know. It's just an idea. Might not happen, but watch out for it in case it does. I'll try and put out a community post and a tweet a day or two before. I'll try. It doesn't always work that way. I'm finding it more and more difficult to create the thumbnails because I've lost all the assets that I used to use previously. But that's a story for another day, folks. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this if I can. Can I? That's the question. I can't put the Tina girl. I can't put the flash on. Tina, what's this? Ask ChatGPT to make your thumbnails. It's free. Yeah, I'll try that. Or the one on Twitter. What's it called? I don't know what that was called. Tina girl, come here. She's going away. You got the back end. You get the end that I get when I'm cuddling at night. Okay, folks. From Tina. And from me, Delta Mike, out. Awkward moment. And I missed the button.